welcome to our regular Monday chess stream here at Ripstone Games. It's not so regular this week, though, as you might have already gathered from the lovely graphic that's up today. We've got a bit of a special one for you, which is part of our kind of ongoing Twitch versus Pure Chess series. So if I just pull down the starting image... Hello! How's it going? So, I'm Mike, of course. You all know me. And there's a high chance you also know the guy who sat across from me. Wait, let me point in the right direction here. Across there. Danny, how are you?
Doing well.
Excellent.
Excited
Excellent.
to take on Twitch.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna talk more about what exactly is going on in this stream. But just before we do you want to explain who you are? Because I could try and explain all of the millions of things you do, but it's probably easier if you just do it.
Sure. I think the Twitch community knows me mostly for butchering accents and acting like an idiot while playing chess. I'm the vice president for chess.com, content and professional relations if we're getting into long titles, but that means I basically answer emails in between hosting chess TV shows. Have a lot of fun doing it, and we are just trying to make the chess world a better place, running chess.com with making tools and providing ways for people to learn chess. So for those who don't know and are just finding us via the Twitch page, I guess I shouldn't assume that everybody here is a chess.com or they're aware of even chess in general, but we are just a big chess website that allows people to play and learn stuff, and I'm the vice president, and I have a lot of fun, and I'm pretty lucky. I'm also an international master. So that means I used to be good at chess, pretty much. That's what it means.
Nice. I mean, yeah, obviously I'm going to have lots of questions about your chess playing skills. And of course, we're also going to see your chess playing skills in action in a moment, which will be exciting.
The chess playing blunders in action, more like it, but yes. So.
Yeah, I'm very... Yeah, so yeah, this is, for anybody watching right now, what is essentially going to happen, what Twitch versus Pure Chess is that the board that you can see right now, you guys are going to be the white pieces, and Danny is going to be the black pieces. And in a moment, I'm going to start a voting bot up, which in the chat, which is going to allow you all to vote on the moves that you want to make as the white pieces against Danny. And the move that is highest voted for will then happen, and then Danny will have his go as the black pieces, and then the bot will start again, and you'll get another go, and so on, until someone has burnt it all to the ground, which I'm sure will happen very quickly. And if anybody's watched these streams before, you'll know exactly how this is going to work. I'll explain exactly. There's instructions up in the corner, which you'll be able to read. But essentially, the way it's going to work is that you are going to type in a very simple command. We use coordinates here. So, for example, if you wanted to move the pawn that is at D2 and you wanted to move it 2 spaces forward, then once the bot gets going, you're going to want to type in D2, D4 into the chat. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And like I say, the bot is then going to add up everybody's moves and then kind of spit out the one that is highest voted for. Now, Danny, how do you feel about your chances against the chat today?
To be totally honest, I don't feel great about them. I think that when the masses get voting, they tend to self-blunder check. It's something we've learned at chess.com. We've done all these different types of vote chess events. We've had world champions play against the masses and have tens of thousands of votes. And usually what ends up happening is the majority of people, whether they're following others who know more chess or whatever resources they're using, hopefully not because that's against the rules. But whatever happens with the voting, they do tend to play a pretty high quality game when thousands of people get voting. Yeah. So I'm scared. I feel like I'm going up against a very strong grandmaster, and I will do my best to distract the crowd and hopefully. But to me, it's going to be fun, and maybe we'll learn something along the way about ourselves, and that's the goal. So,
I mean, I'm also going to be trying my hardest to distract you with questions and all sorts of shindiggery. So, so this will be exciting. Right. So, if I get the bot booted up for the first time. and we'll see where everything is a-okay for this. So again, everybody who's watching, I bet you'll have just seen a bot start up in the chat, okay? And all you need to do, like I said, is type in where you want to move from and where you want to move to, and then the bot is going to add all of your things together, okay? So here we go. This will be exciting to see.
I love that sound effect. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the tinkering. It sounds like R2-D2's soulmate. So
there we go. Everybody's going. It
looks like E2, E4 is. It looks like we're gonna get an E4 game.
It does, and that's actually so as part of me doing these streams, I've been kind of going hard on learning how to play chess, and that's my opening. I do E2, E4.
Okay.
It's called I might look really silly now, but it's the English opening, right?
No, the English is actually C4 with the queen's bishop pawn. But E4 is just, king's pawn game. It really depends on what black does before we give it a name. But it's the most common, I think, especially for beginner players and at the high level. But there's, D4, I think, is played with a more positional mindset. And so most I think, amateur players it's good to play E4 at first because you have to emphasize rapid development, so coordination of your pieces and attacking the center, and those are principles you kind of have to have fundamentally ingrained in you before you can branch off into different types of modern ways to break those rules, essentially.
Sure. So, I mean, obviously, when I do it, it's the English opening. But that's
when you do it, it's the English opening. That's because everything you do is the
everything that I do is the English opening.
I just looked at myself on stream, and I feel like I look like the bad guy from Kindergarten Cop with my slick back hair. I have no idea
just watched
what I'm
that the
doing
other day.
That is ridiculous. I need to go with something else here because that doesn't look classy.
I mean, in fairness, it might undermine their confidence.
I feel like I look like a sleazy salesman when I have slick back hair, so I hate it. But anyway, no, it looks like we're gonna get E4. I'm gonna give my thumbs up for anybody voting for knight H3. Let's get more votes to put our knight on the rim.
Well, I'm gonna stop the vote because E2, E4 has 100% won this. It's rocketed far higher than the others. So here we go, E2 to E4. Okay. And how would you like to respond to this?
I'm gonna respond with the Sicilian. Let's play C5, so C7 to C5. Let's go right into the sharpest theory possible, where I can be subject to blunder and the masses can take advantage of me.
Okay, I like the sound of that. Right, so I'm gonna start the vote again, and we'll see what they vote for next. Now, I'm going to start with the distracting you with questions.
Okay, go for it.
The first obvious question to go with to you is, how did you even get into chess? How did you get into this whole mess?
Oh man, that is I'm going to give you the PG version.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's more appropriate. By the way, the hashtag is Twitch Plays Chess, right? So I just searched for Twitch Plays Chess, and I see. So people can, if anybody wants to get involved with Twitch Plays Chess, I'll be following the Twitter stream and try to chat with you while we're doing this. But how did I get involved with chess? Well, my grandfather actually had a stroke many moons ago, and it was very minor, and he was sort of incapacitated for the summer, and me and my brother kept him busy, and it happened to be the summer when it was the Anand and Kasparov World Championship match of like '95, I think.
Okay.
So I was about 10 years old, and it was also the same year of the release of Searching for Bobby Fischer.
Right.
Which is that movie about Josh Waitzkin, and so I'm definitely one of the Searching for Bobby Fischer generations, right? We have everything broken down to generations now. We have the millennials insults, which I think I'm also a millennial, but I'm also a Searching for Bobby Fischer chess person, and so that movie just sort of, I think it came out and I saw it, and we just became obsessed with chess. We went to the first tournament. I lost every game at my first tournament, and my brother went 4 out of 5, so naturally I hated chess, But we stuck with it, and the school that I went to started a chess team pretty much because Dallas and I were competing in events, and we did very well. It was from a very small town in Arizona, And so the intimate environment and the lack of other things for kids to do, I think, allowed people to really dive into chess. I mean, our school program had a couple hours of chess every day after school. Kids could stay from like 3 till 5 and do chess. So we turned around some really good Scholastic players. We won some national chess championships in the U.S., some Scholastic tournaments, and then I was the only one dumb enough to take it to a professional level. I was competing on. I think I'm a 7 or 8 time U.S. All-American, so I got to go to lots of World Youth events and play in tournaments as a kid. And at one point, I was the highest-rated player in the country under the age of 21 who wasn't Hikaru Nakamura. That's a name a lot of people know.
Wow.
But that's my only claim to chess fame at that level, because I was about almost 2,500 then, which is a rating you achieve, and I'm still almost about 2,500 now because my life took a rapid turn around the age of 19 or 20 toward business and teaching in the schools. I know I'm giving you more. I'm just going to give you a little bit of my chess life story.
This is how much I wanted. You keep going.
Okay. And then, I started teaching in the schools and made money with private lessons and after-school enrichment programs and that kind of stuff. And eventually, it kind of dawned on me that the future of chess learning was really online. And I educated myself a lot about SEO and websites. And I was like, oh, I should just go get the name chess.com. Like, nobody has that, I'm sure. Sure enough, I go to chess.com.
That's crazy that nobody had that, though, isn't it?
No, but they did have it. My partners and now Eric and Jay, the founders of chess.com, had actually just launched chess.com really around the same time.
Right.
And so, again, there's a lot of details there, but long story short, I was lucky enough to get involved pretty close to the ground level with them, and now we do chess.com, and that's all I do full time. I no longer coach or do any sort of private teaching. I just help manage our website and do chess events like this. So
wow, that's amazing.
There you go.
That's a cool stuff. I mean, I'm gonna stop the vote because I think enough votes have come in now. We've got a G1 F3 happening here, so let's get that on the move.
The chair 007 says if I keep going, I'm going to give you my address and my passport number. So I know I went a little too far maybe, but believe it or not, that is the very abridged version of me
PG
playing
version.
chess.
Yeah.
But that's funny. No, I mean I gave you a lot of detail there. So, all right, we got G1 F3. I love it.
Yeah. What you thinking?
I'm gonna play D6. I'm ready to go. Pawn to D6.
Yeah. D6.
Should be funsies. I think we're gonna get to a main line. They'll probably play D4, and we'll likely get into some sort of mainline knight or for dragon, which should be just what the doctor ordered for some exciting chess. So.
Good. That's exactly what we want here, because boring chess would not do right now.
No.
Okay. So chess.com then. Explain. So chess.com, you've kind of talked about what it is, but it's essentially a chess community that you run, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a website where people play chess mostly, but we also have all the learning tools and videos and things that people can upgrade for to get access to all kinds of. I think our tactics trainer, big puzzles database is one of the most popular features people love, and so our job is basically finding more and more ways to make awesome, cool features that people can use to get better at chess and make the playing experience as good as possible. So, but yeah, I mean, we're fortunate. Obviously, our domain name, we get a very large section of the web and people that are searching for chess games online. And so we have a lot of people that are playing. I mean, right now I can go into our live server right now and how many people are online. I'll do a quick refresh and see. But we have a lot of members right now. There's 24,000 people playing chess and live chess. So a lot of people playing chess all the time.
Wow.
Who knew, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy that so many people like chess, or is it really?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it has. It's got like a little bit of a stigma of, it's a nerd sport, I guess. But it's also, I think it as it's grown in the U.S. mainly through schools. I mean, it's just shown to be really beneficial as far as any board game can be for critical thinking and cause and effect and consequences of your actions. So as it grows in the scholastic community for kids, I think more and more people end up coming back to it because then they're in their late teens or early 20s or even early 30s, and they're like, hey, I remember I learned chess, and you end up finding a way to play online. And so most of our community are people that probably have never played in tournaments before and aren't really interested in serious chess, but they find, you know, thousands of like-minded enthusiasts, and that way they don't feel intimidated by the sport in a way that it's like, oh, you know, chess is just for some sort of like geniuses with a high IQ. I mean, I do not have a high IQ, I can tell you that much right now. So
right,
no
I'm gonna
shame.
stop the vote really quick.
Go for it. Yeah, let's do it.
The D2 D4 is the move that has won here. So
yeah, especially in the opening, if it seems like they all know what they want to do, we can just move right along. I mean, I'm ready.
Exactly.
I'm ready to rock.
So how are you going to respond to this?
I'm going to take the pawn on D4.
Okay. Where am I looking here? You're going to take the pawn on D4. Great. Great. And we'll start the vote again. Yeah, it's funny actually when you're saying that because yeah, like obviously, you know, like when I went to school, there was chess club, and I remember just feeling the same way, you know, being a bit like, well, it's super nerdy. I'm kind of, you know, if I do this, then everyone's gonna hate me and think I'm a giant nerd. But then, you know, so I've been playing a lot of chess recently, and I absolutely love it. And I'm just like, imagine if when I was back at school, someone had just forced me to play it, and I could actually be really good at chess right now, and that could be pretty great for me. So it's yeah.
Swedish Cheese just said that I look like I could punch through the wall when I lose. You know, the camera adds 10 pounds, buddy. No, but I do work out, but I feel like every time I get on camera, my face just looks really fat, and I look a little bit even more more chubby. So
everybody hates themselves on camera, though, don't they?
I know. I hate it. I hate it. But you know what? I try to go with the fun because all you can do is make fun. All you can do is make fun of yourself.
Yeah, Cheese is one of our regulars, and he's always got something sarcastic to say. So
yeah, no, he's awesome. I think I recognize him from chess shows we've done over our channel. But all right, well, let's see. I think the members are going to take with the knight most likely, and I'm going to quickly respond knight to F6.
D4 that they're doing. So F3.
F3 D4. That's it. I mean, I think that's going to be the best move. I think that's what they want.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's rock.
So what are you?
I'm ready. I want to get to some critical positions here.
What are you thinking?
I'm going to play knight F6. So
Knight
as soon as they take, I'm going to play knight F6 and
knight to F6. There we go. And we'll start the vote again. Yeah. So if anybody is watching and they have I have loads of questions for Danny that I'm going to be distracting him with. But if any of you guys have questions, it's very easy to ask questions. I mean, there's a couple of different ways you can do it, right? You can either use the hashtag we were talking about, Twitch Plays Chess. You can tweet them there, or an even better way to do it is to go in our Discord channel. We have a dedicated chess channel in our Discord. I'm sure that Holly will be wonderful and drop the link into the chat for you guys. But if you go in our Discord channel, you'll see people talking about the game in there. And if you drop your questions in there, then they'll get handed to me on a piece of paper or something, and I can read them out. Let's try and get some silly questions as well, please. I want maybe not too silly, but some silly ones just to throw him off a little bit. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that you guys are going to need a lot of help. As I say, I blunder all the time.
I mean, we'll see.
We'll see. But it should be fun. I just tweeted with the hashtag, and
excellent.
If anybody has any questions there too, they can get involved that way. But so we're gonna see knight to c3. It looks like b1 to c3.
I'll stop the vote here. Yeah, it's b1 to c3. So b1 to c3 is the move.
All right, this is a big question because part of me wants to go crazy here and play the dragon and play g6, but the problem with it's once an addict, always an addict. Once a dragon player, always a dragon player. Okay, and I'm addicted to the dragon.
Okay.
And the problem with those positions is they're pretty much losing by force for black, but they're so much fun to play. And we're gonna get some crazy attacking positions. So g6 is what I'm tempted to go for. A6 would be what I should play.
What are you thinking? Think hard, because obviously if you lose to the Twitch chat, it's going to be massively embarrassing.
Oh, I don't know what's going to happen here. We'll see what they play. I mean, All right, I guess I'll do it. Let's go for the dragon. So I'm gonna play G6. Let's have
G6,
some
pawn
fun,
to G6.
and let's get some really sharp positions in the Sicilian and see what kind of theory they're interested in.
Okay.
See what they know.
Yep.
This should be fun.
Yep. I'm down with this. I'm down with some silly play. And
Yep.
Swedish Cheese keeps cheering, which is amazing. Thank you, Cheese. Thank you so much. He asks if this is a speed run, which is an incredibly video game based joke. So thanks for that. Thanks for that, Cheese. It was great. I think we're going to see more of his sarcasm all the way through this stream, so that's nice.
Pork Scimitar. He wants me to explain why G6 loses by force. That's a slight exaggeration. Obviously, the dragon has been played at high levels throughout chess history, but basically, as theory has evolved, you get more and more forcing lines where White's approach to dismantle the king side with the Yugoslav attack, which is a formation we're going to get into here in just a second, depending on what you guys all play, but guys and gals. But the idea is, I'll actually explain it. I'm on chess.com too. Let's see. It's too bad I can't analyze or show them anything on the board right now. We're waiting for them to vote. But the idea is essentially White will develop the bishop on c1 and quickly bring the queen behind it for a battery that goes after the h6 square to sort of dispose of Black's bishop on g7. And the point is, though Black gets a lot of aggressive attacks himself, generally, if White has the lines worked out, it's very difficult to deal with White's sort of surgical attack on the king side, because this move g6 ends up being a pawn move you wish you could take back. White has ways to sort of force open the H file and get a lot of pieces attacking. And I don't want to give any more specific lines. One, because saying a bunch of chess moves is probably not good for the audience, and you know, no one can follow it anyway.
I mean, I think you'd be surprised actually, because I can see people in the chat saying he's giving us all of his plans.
Right. Well, I mean, I am. That's another reason why I'm not going to do it. Let's see if you guys want to play the Yugoslav attack or if you want to do something else.
Yeah.
But generally, if I'm answering Pork Scimitar's question, like what's the best line against the dragon, it's definitely the Yugoslav attack, and those variations are, if you're serious about wanting to know, those are the variations you should dive into learning as White. So there you go.
Okay, well,
that's the chess advice.
I'll tell you exactly the move that they're making. The move that they're making is f1 to c4. So if we pull this off, this is the bishop, the good old bish coming in.
Did they already move?
Yes, it's moved now.
Okay, well that is a little surprising.
Yeah.
That's not the main theory. It still potentially can reach the Yugoslav attack in some of those variations. So I'm going to quickly respond bishop to g7.
Okay, to g7.
So develop my bishop on f8 to fill that square on g7, and obviously my intentions are very clear. I'm going to get castled. And depending on the moves they take here, this is a critical moment for them, because they need to either decide if they want to launch this type of attack, or if they're taking a different approach. Maybe they want to castle kingside and get their king saved. Sorry, not saved. And see what. But this will be interesting.
This is exactly what's happened in these streams before. There's a sort of the Twitch chat doing moves that you may not have believed were going to happen. So it's always quite interesting for me to watch.
All right, well this is fun. So now they're recommending bishop to e3, which is a move that makes sense in terms of the overall development scheme for White. But that move order maybe not the ideal for them. We'll see. I don't want to give away my hand just yet. But if they play bishop to e3.
Yeah, I mean the overwhelming here, is bishop to e3. So actually, I'm gonna stop the vote right now, because that move.
Yeah, there may be some consequences to that.
That move has rocketed. So it's c1 to e3 here.
Okay.
There we go. Right. So.
So normally I would just get castled here.
Yeah.
And allow them to play a move like pawn to f3 next move, and we would sort of transpose into a mainline Yugoslav attack. But this move order they played with the bishop on c4 has some problems, which is that now I can play the move knight to g4 if I want, and attack the bishop on e3, which is sort of a critical piece for White defending the dark squares. What I just have to calculate, though, is whether I'm willing to deal with some complications. 1 second. Knight g4.
Go for it. Yeah, and while you're having a think, for anybody who's joined since the start of the stream, let me explain to you what the heck is going on. This is Twitch versus Pure Chess. You guys are playing chess against Danny Rensch, who's sat over there. And you can essentially vote for the moves you want to do using the instructions up there in that corner. Just follow everybody else in the chat as well, it's really easy. To vote on the moves that you want to make against Danny, and then he will respond and we will see who wins. We do this weekly. We do this a lot on our channel. So if you are enjoying this and you want to see more of this kind of thing, then feel free to follow us on Twitch, because we'd love you forever. Maybe not forever. Forever's a long time, but we'd love you for a very long time if you did do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love them too if they did that. So,
well, there we go. So you get
double the love.
You get combined love.
Illegal in some states,
yes,
but
in some countries it's got a different name, but we'll skirt over that. Right. What do you?
All right,
I'm
gonna play knight to g4. I'm gonna go for it.
Okay, to g4.
So knight on f6 to g4. I'm gonna answer Farhan Ahmed's question on Twitter. Farhan Ahmed 1984 wants to know what the best sacrifice is I've ever made against a big name player. I said I'm going to answer it, but now I have to think about the answer to that. I sacrificed my queen in a Sveshnikov against Grandmaster Melikachian, who's actually an author for Chess.com. He does videos and some stuff, but he's a very strong Armenian Grandmaster who lives in Southern California. And I sacrificed my queen. Actually, no, that was against Enrico Sevillano, who's also a very strong Grandmaster from Southern California. But I won a really nice game that was sort of a long-term sacrifice. That's one of my favoritos. I also won a game sacrificing my queen for multiple pieces when I was a kid at Nationals. But nothing like sacrificing. It just, when you prove to the chess gods that material points are not the most important thing and that the initiative is, there's nothing like that feeling. So thanks for that question, Farhan Ahmed. Good Twitter question.
That was a good question. That's amazing. I'm glad that other people have questions as well, because otherwise you should be sick of the sound of my voice asking questions. Really,
we could never get sick of the sound of your voice because of the accent. I mean,
maybe,
that is some
maybe
stuff.
I do get that a lot, but not from people who are British. People who are British.
Right.
I
know, isn't that weird? I mean, I do a British accent sometimes, and people hate me when I'm messing around with like Australian or British or German accents on my shows.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like one of the things that really gets them angry, and for some reason, I really dig that. I don't know why I keep doing it, but I'm surprised we don't have more people here to ready to bust me, because I usually get a lot of grief from the Twitch chat. So a lot of my regular haters aren't here in the chat. I'm kind of low. I'm kind of missing them actually.
Yeah. We'll see if they start turning up to heckle. So we've got a vote here. I'm going to stop the vote because the vote that has come in is c4 b5. So let's pop that in, c4 to b5 right there. Yep.
And that's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And that's the line I had to calculate and be ready for. So now I have to play the move king to f8. It's the only move in the position.
Okay.
So normally this would be sort of a very dubious approach by black to lose the right to castle. But now white has a really tough decision to make, because the dark square bishop either has to give itself up or it has to move to a square that's going to leave the d4 knight vulnerable. I have all kinds of tactics coming with queen to b6. So this is sort of a weird position for white now, and this is actually in opening book. So they did play the best move. Bishop to b5 was critical.
Okay.
But
well done, chat.
Now after king f8, I feel like the game is not going to become a There's Bamakar. There's one of my haters. What's up, buddy? Love you, man.
Excellent.
He's here to yell at me about the Australian accent being highly offensive. I don't even think that guy's Australian. But he thinks I'm offending. First of all, how is an accent ever offensive? I mean, I don't understand. I'm just messing. I don't know.
Well, it depends on the accent, really, doesn't it?
I think it's probably because all I ever say are things like, the Outback, or, I don't know. I say, Foster's or something Australian. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so this position is going to get messy. It's going to be fun. The reason king f8 was the only move, just in case you're wondering, Mike, for your tactics to give you. If I had played like bishop to d7 to block the check, white has this move queen takes g4. White can just take the knight with the queen, because now my bishop on d7 would have been pinned to my king on e8, and I can't go gobble the queen.
Yeah.
So this move bishop b5 check forces this idea of king f8 because of that tactic.
Right. Got it. Yeah, I was gonna say actually. I should really explain to people who are watching, because it's something that I forgot to say at the start. there is actually a prize if the Twitch chat managed to beat you today. We're gonna play at least a couple of games, maybe a few, depending on time. We're here for the next sort of 2.5 hours, but if the chat managed to beat you, then they're all gonna win a free game. It'll be for the people who aren't aware, Ripstone, we're a developer and a publisher. We have multiple different games. We've got Pure Chess and we've got other games as well. And yeah, if you guys manage to beat Danny today, then we're gonna throw free games at you all, which is nice. So there's actually a link for that. Hopefully Hollow will be able to grab that link and throw it in the chat for you guys, so you can sign up for that. But if you guys do manage to win, then obviously we'll make sure you all get that link as well, so you can get the free game. But yeah, just in case you're all wondering whether there was a reason outside of just beating someone at chess, it's to get a free game as well. So that's not bad. I
love it. What's the? Do I get a free game if I lose?
No, if you lose, then you have to pay for all of those. Where do you think those games are coming from, Danny?
Oh my, that was not a. I mean, that's a. But all right, we're in now. Now we know what's at stake.
You're in deep now, so you just better make sure you don't lose, basically. But yeah, that's the thing I forgot to say at the start. You're all gonna get a free game if you win. So try to win and not mess up, chat. Okay, that would be the best thing for you. Right, I'm gonna stop the vote here because E1G1 has won here, which is E1G1, which is the old castling.
Okay, so that's
So there we go.
The key there is they're willing to give up the dark square bishop, which I think is probably the best move. It's definitely going to lead to some of the most complicated ways this game could go. Now when I take on e3, which is normally the critical piece for white, getting rid of white's dark square bishop is very nice for me, but it also opens up the f file for the rook. In situations like this. So
yeah.
So if I open the f file for the rook that's directly pointed at the king on f8, I have to be a little bit careful, but I think it's still worth getting rid of that piece, and then we will see how the complications ensue. So I'm going to play knight takes e3, knight takes bishop on e3, and you could probably just play their move almost instantly. Everyone's going to vote for recapturing the knight.
You'd imagine so, wouldn't you?
Those masochists in the chat.
Yeah. So. well, you never know. I'm going to put the vote up anyway, just in case, because you never know. They might be crazy, but we'll see what they decide to do.
Here we go.
Let's have a look.
Atomic Raven. Yes, everyone gets a romantic night out with Danny. That's the prize.
Is that what it is?
That would be not very romantic. So
Raven's one of our regulars. Raven, I thought what happened with the with the romantic dinner with me? Why are you now choosing Danny over me? This is incredibly rude.
Yeah, I mean, you got to pull yourself together, Raven. You're breaking hearts here. All right, well, this will be fun. They're going to take e3, and I'm already calculating how I want to deal with the f file here because I need to be careful. I need to be careful and not underestimate tactics against the king. And I also want to develop my queen side pieces very quickly. So I have to decide how I want to do that. I think I have my move prepared. I think I'm ready.
Okay, right. Well, I'm going to stop the vote because the winning move is f2 e3. So f2 e3. I mean, what a surprise!
What a surprise, right? So now I'm going to quickly play the move pawn to e6, e7 to e6.
e7 to e6.
Now, normally this is a no-no in the dragon. Because with your bishop over on g7, if you can see that, the bishop isn't going to be able to guard the d6 pawn. So normally you have to be very careful about weakening it. White can organize pieces to go after d6, but here the dynamic has changed so much where, white has this f file, but white has lost this critical piece, the bishop on e3. And I just want to be careful of tactics. So I'm sort of trying to prepare to guard the d5 square so that their knight can't come into d5. I'm also preparing to put my queen on e7 or c7 where she can guard the f7 pawn, anticipating they might play a move like queen to f3 to threaten checkmate on f7.
Sure.
So those are my thought process, and hopefully this is what the viewers want. I'm just trying to explain as a strong player
No,
what I'm
this
thinking,
yeah.
so they can say like, oh, okay, so that's what's going on in this.
No,
position.
this is I mean, I think this is exactly what people are going to want, like the explanation, because it kind of helps everybody. Thank you to Waldiski as well for subscribing. That's very nice of you, Waldy. Thank you so much. We've got lovely chat going on today. It's very nice. In one of the past chats that we did, in one of the past streams we did, there was a bit where the chat just turned on us hard when they started losing in a game. So we're gonna have to see if the chat sort of goes downhill if they begin to lose. We'll have to see. It's
well,
very,
I hope
really
that's
exciting.
the case, because that would mean I've done something right for once.
Yeah.
So.
If you see the chat start getting really, really angry, then you know that you started going in the right direction on this. Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, they'll have a chance. I can't wait to get the white pieces, though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I was a little bit scared to start with black, but
yeah.
If I can hold on in this game and then get the white pieces, things are gonna get freaky in round 2. I'm gonna go aggressive.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be nutty. All right.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop the vote because.
So we got a lot of D1 F3.
We got a D1
or Bishop
F3.
C. Is that what was it?
This is the queen. D1 to F3 there. Yeah.
So sort of what I anticipated, and I wasn't exactly sure where I wanted my queen. There are benefits to being on both E7 and C7.
Mm-hmm.
Being on E7 is a little more defensive-minded because it overprotects the E6 pawn, just in case there's tactics. It also keeps control over the dark squares on the king side. But being on C7 also has the potential future of putting pressure on the C file. The more I describe it, though, the more I'm pretty confident that we want to put the queen on E7 to guard E6, and that will allow me to potentially develop a piece to D7 on the next move without worrying about these tactics. Do you see that with the queen and rook on the F file, there's this threat possibly of them playing knight takes E6 because the pawn on F7 is pinned.
Right.
So right now they can't do it because my bishop guards it, but I have to be very careful of these sort of coming shots. Long term in this position, black is much better. Black has the 2 bishops, complete control over the dark squares, and white has these horribly weak doubled E-pawns. So positionally, I'm very confident about my future in a game like this, but tactically, currently, I have to be very careful of white's pressure against my king. So I'm going to play queen to E7. That's my move. Go ahead and do it.
Okay. Queen to
move
E7.
it or lose it, sister. And that's where we're at.
Okay. Sounds good. And we'll see how they respond. Now, while the chats are choosing how to respond on this, I wanted to ask you some other chess.com related things, if you will, some businessy things. So you've got the Pro Chess League, right?
Right.
What exactly is that, and how exactly does it work?
Yeah, so for everybody who's interested, and maybe this is your first ever chess stream, if so, welcome to the world. You'll never go back. If it's not, then you're probably a little bit more aware of it. But our channel is twitch.tv/chess, just chess. You can subscribe if you want. But we do all kinds of chess events, all kinds of chess shows. But our big flagship for this year is the Pro Chess League. We're launching this league that has 48 teams from around the world. There are literally all of the best players in the world are playing. Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano Caruana, Hikaru Nakamura, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. These are, anybody who knows chess knows those are like top 5 in the world. Magnus Carlsen, of course, is the reigning world champion. They are all signed up to play for teams. Will they play every week? We don't know, but it's essentially the launching of trying to push chess into the forefront of being like an esport, letting teams play online. For a long time, this sort of thing wasn't possible. People were just too paranoid about cheating online, but we've done a lot of work to really perfect our systems where we feel like we can promise the fans a clean game, or at least act when people are using engines, and we are really excited for because we think the Pro Chess League can have the eyes of the global world following if they're watching a phenomenal chess product with the best chess players in the world, and they can root for their local team. Probably wherever you are in the world right now, there's a team that you could decide you're affiliated with. I think there's a link we're going to share with them, Mike, where they can check out all the teams.
Yeah.
So the Pro Chess League is something we're really excited about. More than 100 grandmasters playing, 48 teams from around the world. It's currently kind of the bane of my existence as far as working to be. There's been a lot to do to get ready for this, but we're pretty excited. The first match is on Wednesday. So Wednesday, January 11th, if you go to twitch.tv/chess, there will literally be a broadcast going all day, because with teams from all around the world, we have teams that start out in India and China, I mean, East Asia, and then, we move into Eastern Europe and Western Europe, and eventually the final stream. So it's 12 straight hours of chess commentary by a bunch of different hosts that we have lined up. And no one's ever done an event like this. It's an all-day thing every Wednesday. That's league night, is what we're calling it, and it is a spectacle that the chess world has never really seen before. So we're pretty pumped.
Yeah, for anybody who's interested in that, the link's in the chat right there. So make sure you go check that out. Now, oh, got a frog in my throat. Right, we've got a vote, and the vote is F1, F2.
F1 to F2.
F1.
They want to double on the F file.
F2.
Those dirty, rotten scoundrels.
There we go. So.
Okay, so
I gotta be your plans then.
I gotta be ready here. I think the key idea is my control over the dark squares. Positionally, this is my stronghold. E5, F6. So I need to try to put a pony on this square, and maybe tempt white to give up the bishop pair all the way with a move like bishop takes d7. So I'm going to play the move knight to d7 here.
Okay.
And I have defensive goals for that pony. I have big dreams for that pony, so I hope they don't capture it. But if they do, I will capture back with the bishop, and I will then be able to guard against threats on the f7 pawn, and I still feel confident about my long-term chances with the bishop pair. Why is the bishop pair better? I just got a question on Twitter. Why is the bishop pair better than not having the two bishops? Do you want me to answer that, Mike?
Yeah, go for it.
So part of the reason the bishop pair is better is because the chessboard, as the game evolves, will almost always become more open. Pieces get traded, pawns get traded, open files, open diagonals, more squares become available. It's it's much more difficult to dictate a position, even as a strong player, and keep it closed. It's possible, but you have to really be much more focused on a lot of the structural issues with the pawns and trying to keep pieces out of open lines. And it's harder to do even at the highest level, because if your opponent has the bishop pair, they're going to be striving to create dynamics, to create tactical opportunities, and to open the board. So because it's harder to dictate a position to keep it closed, generally the bishops in the open board, there were some people used to give it points, like the knight and bishop are supposed to be worth 3, but they could say the bishop pair, when they're together, the two bishops are worth 4 apiece or something. I don't really believe in points like that. I don't really like that's never been something in my teaching style. But I think just it's easy for people to understand that the bishops will eventually start to get active, and their ability to poke at things on both sides of the board and attack all over the place makes it difficult for the knights to compete.
Right.
If knights stay centralized, or if they have targets, they can do it, but it's something that strategically usually favors the bishop pair. So there you go.
Fair enough. Just a quick hello to our regulars, by the way. I know you're here, regulars, and I love you all, and you know who you are. And thank you for the cheers as well. I really do have something in my throat. But yeah, just thank you to all the regulars for being here. You're all you're all lovely people. Okay, you know who you are, and you know that I love you all. Now I'm gonna stop the vote because the move they're doing is b5 to d7. So here we go. Yep. b5 to d7.
So you can just take right back with my bishop on c8.
Okay.
My bishop on c8 is going to capture the bishop on d7.
Yep.
And this is sort of what I expected, I guess. I wanted to keep that knight and land him on a nice square like e5, as I said, but they didn't allow that correctly. But I still like my chances. I feel like after move rook a to f1, which is what they're going to play, I'm going to play bishop to e8 and guard the f7 pawn. And then where's White's plan after that? They've sort of played all their cards. The f-file is no longer delivering any returns, and I still have a lot to improve in my position. I can get my rook on a8 active. I can start to be active on the queen side and push my pawns. So So this is right up my Sicilian alley. I'm feeling real good.
Chat,
I'm not gonna
what
lie.
you need to do now, chat, is listen to everything he just said and do the opposite of it. Don't do anything he just said. He's waiting for it. He's expecting it.
I'm waiting for it.
Do something crazy, chat.
The problem is, it's not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter. I don't mean to lay down the smack talk. Yeah, I do. That's exactly what I need to do.
Right, chat. He's being well sassy now. Don't let him sass you, chat.
I'm sassing it, and it's gonna be fun when my bishops get going.
Yeah.
So you're gonna love it.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna
things...
try and distract you even more then quickly, because apparently you need distracting harder. We've got some questions. I've still got loads of questions to ask you, but we're getting questions from our lovely community through.
Okay.
We've got someone in our community, a guy called Perkle, who is here for all of our chess streams, who is the bane of my existence, because he is the one who essentially leads the Twitch chat to victory in every single one of my losses. So hi Perkle, thanks for being here. I hope you lose today. Perkle would like to know what your guess for the next candidate to play against Magnus Carlsen in the World Championship.
It's hard, because if you had asked me to do that within the previous cycle, I would not have predicted Karyakin. I think I'm not alone there. A lot of people were surprised by the awesome year that the Russian had. Not because he's not capable, but he hadn't really done anything previously to suggest to us that he was a top candidate to take on Magnus Carlsen. So that's sort of my get out of jail free card. That's my caveat for when I'm wrong on my prediction. But I think Fabiano Caruana or Wesley So both have phenomenal chances. Those are both two Americans, both top 10 grandmasters. Hikaru Nakamura is also, the other top American player who I would root for if I'm allowed to be a homer for a second. Any one of those three players would be awesome. I think it would be great for chess and the global media attention that it would get to have an American challenging. But I think if I had to pick, I would say that of those three, Fabiano Caruana is definitely the most. I would say, and this might offend, but let's be honest, no Super Chess Grandmasters are watching this stream anyway, so hashtag no worries. I would say that Caruana has proven he's one of the only people that I really believe could outplay Magnus Carlsen from start to finish with either color, if he's playing well in top form. So I think Caruana is probably the most dangerous threat. But don't count out the old school guys like Kramnik and Anand. I mean, they're still there, and if they get chances in the candidates, remember Vishy Anand almost got his third chance to challenge Magnus Carlsen in the candidates. He was right there with Caruana and Karyakin toward the end. So, but I'm gonna guess that Fabiano probably seems like the most logical and most potent threat to the throne. Wesley So's that much younger, that much less experience. Nakamura, if he's playing well, is as talented as anybody, but he's just not as consistent as Caruana at the high levels. That's just the truth. So there you go. That would be my pick. Is Fabiano Caruana.
That was a great detailed answer. I hope you enjoyed that, Perkle, and now I hope you lose at chess, Perkle. Right, let's stop the vote. The vote's all over the place this time. We've got multiple different moves being voted for.
Yeah, well, I don't even know what it's going to be.
No, well, I can tell you right now, the move that they've gone for is A1 to F1.
Okay, so it was what I predicted, what happened, which is they would triple on the F file, and my move is basically forced. I'm going to immediately play the move bishop on D7 to E8 to guard that pawn. So you can go ahead and move my bishop backward, and now, of course...
to E8.
Yep.
To E8, yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Okay.
And now you can see I'm happy, even happier that I put my queen on E7 rather than C7, because in this position there would be a fork. Knight takes E6 check. Forking my king and queen would be Ouchtown, Resigns-town. So I don't want that. But I feel so. Now here's the thing for White is where are they going next? As Pork Scimitar just said in the Twitch chat, he said E5 get weird. That might be the kind of thing they go for. I mean, but there's not a lot of concrete ways for White to further improve this position until Black mixes it up, which is part of the reason why I went for this line, because the elimination of that dark square bishop for White is so critical for Black, because they want that bishop that I took on E3 to be able to go after my bishop on G7 and to open up holes and access points to the king side, which they don't have. So again, like that's why Black is, I mean, I don't even know what an Injin would say here. This is not a position I've played very often. I've probably played it a couple times in my life because because normally white honestly doesn't allow this idea of taking on e3. And I know that's not going to upset the viewers, but hey, so I mean, I don't know what else to say. Yeah, so they're going to want to throw out ideas like h4 now and go for an attack. But often these attacking ideas are not as effective when you don't have the dark square bishop to eventually get rid of my bishop on g7.
I mean, Swedish Cheese is voting for e4, e7 here. He wants to jump the pawn forwards and take your queen, which would be lovely, Cheese. I'm sure if that was a good move, then the rest of the chat would be going for it as well.
Yeah, no, that sounds. I mean, honestly, good kudos to you, man. You play like my 4-year-old daughter. You know, no matter what you she makes the rules. So
yeah,
there you go.
That's the best kind of chess. Now, let me ask you. I have pages and pages of questions here, and I need to get through them faster. Really, I'm clearly not distracting you hard enough. So, league play when it comes to chess. Okay, can you explain to me here? So how exactly what exactly is the format of how league play works for chess?
Yeah, good question. And we've worked it out based on a format that was done for the only other league play that really ever existed online, which was the U.S. Chess League, which was hosted on chess.com for a couple of years. And we sort of it was sort of an acqui-hire. We kind of acquired their league and brought in some help to launch the Pro Chess League this year. And the format is basically the teams are grouped into divisions by time zone. You know, it's the most convenient thing to do is to play others that are, so everybody can play around 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, their time. Everybody's gone home from work, and easy to play a few hours of chess from home that way. So teams are grouped around the world via time zone. Everybody they have their own name. They give their team a nickname. They recruit grandmasters and international masters and local masters in their area. The teams are paired for the first 6 weeks of the season. The pairings are actually already live on chess.com, which I could share a link to that actually. The schedule is already live, so all the teams know who they're going to play for the first 6 weeks, and then after the 6-week point, based on that's the end of the regular season, the teams are sort of regrouped into elimination rounds. Every round from then on can essentially eliminate a team, and the teams are in the playoffs and they're playing up to the finals. And teams are as teams get eliminated, we get to a smaller and smaller group. And there's a $50,000 prize fund, which is, I mean, it's more than anybody's ever had in chess for these guys to just play a few hours of rapid games once a week.
Wow.
So it's a pretty good payday if you consider the amount of time involved, and the convenience of being able to play at home. And we hope to continue to increase it more and more throughout every season. So there you go.
Yeah.
Hopefully, did I even answer the question? What's wrong with me?
Yeah,
I talk too much.
No, I mean that was exactly what I was looking for. So it was a good.
Well, here's the schedule. I just pasted it. Although they probably never mind.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you what. If you tweet it with a hashtag, and then Holly will be able to grab it and paste it in there for you.
Cool.
Right, and while you're doing that, I'm going to stop the vote because we've got a move here of c3 to b5 that's happening. c3 to b5. There we go. Right. I mean, they're trying to develop the knight here, but we'll see how you get on with that. And while you're having to think of what to do against that, I'm going to do my half-hourly explain what the heck is going on here thing for everybody who's joined since the last time that I jibber-jabbered. So hi everyone, this is Twitch versus Pure Chess that you're watching right now. And you guys can all, in the Twitch chat, you can all play against Danny, who is well good at chess, which means you're going to lose, it seems like. Come on, chat. Try harder for me, please. So all you need to do, the instructions are up in that corner up there, but all you need to do, when it's your go, you're the white pieces. When it's your go, the Pure Chess bot will ask you to make your move, and all you do is type in a space you want to move from, so a space you want to move to choose one of the pieces to move. And whichever move gets voted for the most, that'll happen, and it's as simple as that. And we do this weekly, so if you want to come watch more of these things, then give us a follow, because then I don't know, lovely flowers and things bloom all over the world, and fairies don't die when you do that.
I thought an angel gets his wings every time that happens.
That's exactly what happens.
Something like that.
That's the thing that happens. Thank you for reminding me.
Right.
So yeah, feel free to do that. Now.
So this is a tricky move by them. Knight to b5 was a way to create some tactical threats. There's a threat here, which is the move knight to c7. And I can't take it with the queen because they have knight takes e6 check, forking my king and queen. That move is actually powerful enough that it hits the rook on a8 and it would hit the pawn on e6.
Yeah.
Because of the so I have a series sort of a superficial idea. It's a one move threat that I have to take advantage of. I have to stop it. But if I do, I still feel confident that there's no concrete follow up. So I'm going to play the move king to g8. Okay. Which unpins my pawn on f7. So now there are no immediate threats of capturing on e6, even if my queen moves away. So that kind of frees up my queen to do some defensive tasks.
Okay.
And now we'll see what they have to follow up after I play king to g8. Should be interesting. It's going to get wild. The gloves are coming off.
Yeah, here we go. Well, you said that you wanted something a bit crazy, didn't you? And that's kind of what you've got here. So,
yeah, it's dynamic and interesting. I love unbalanced positions where you're not looking at something where both sides have the exact same set of pieces, both sides have the exact same pawn structure. It's a static. And those positions, okay, there's certain skill sets and things, mindsets you want to have in those types of positions too. But these sort of unbalanced positions, bishop versus knights, open files and a bad pawn structure, both sides want different things. It allows for kind of a fun, dynamic game, and I'm all about that because I'm all about the base. That's it.
You're all about the base. What more can you say than that? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump back to the community questions because I do like to get some of the questions from our lovely fans out. So Ghost Gamer, who you must understand is a hardcore Ripstone fan. He does not miss a single stream. I don't think he's been in nearly every single stream we've done for the past 6 months. So we love him dearly. He wants to know what your favourite chess piece is and why. There you go. That's a nice question. I like that question. What do you think? Have you ever thought about this before?
I have gotten the question before, and I think most people answer the knight because of its the fact that it's unique. It moves differently than every other piece. And so the tactics, when you do get chances to do hardcore blows with the knight, it's usually kind of interesting and original. So that makes the knight an obvious choice. But I would have to go with what I end up saying all the time. And probably I'm going to pick the little guy, the pawn. The pawn is my favorite piece. And some people don't even consider it a piece, but I got to stick up for the little guy. Pawns as a group, the pawn structure is, I think, what I end up teaching a lot about. I think it's because I'm talking often to a level of understanding where getting them to start to think about the big picture and that every pawn can't go back. Every move you make with a pawn is a permanent problem or strength in your position. And so understanding kind of the consequences and what to do in given pawn structures and how to take advantage of long-term weaknesses, I think is one of the things I enjoy teaching the most and giving people that sort of strong chess mindset. Whereas tactics with the pieces are brilliant and beautiful and fun, but often at the high levels, they're only the climax of a very, very long, very intricate plan that often involves a lot of the space and the squares and the things that have become open due to how you play with the pawns. So the pawn, not just because it's the chess.com logo, is my favorite piece. But I just realized that's awesome branding. # way to go, Dan.
Yeah.
Way to go, Dan.
That was definitely thinking towards the future for when you needed to answer this question. That was great.
You know what? Thank you for that. That was a good. Now I know how I'm answering that question every time. But that's the first time I've given that answer. So. And
when people ask why that knight is in the chess.com logo, you've got it all sussed out now. That's it.
Got it all worked out. Wow, I love it. Well, this is going to be interesting. The vote seems to be split here. A lot of people like c4, which I think is a good move for white. They're trying to gain space and control the center while they can before my rook on a8 and my bishops get active. So that looks like a move a lot of people like. I kind of give my thumbs up to that move. Yeah, and I'm not giving bad advice here. I'm giving teaching advice. So
yeah, I think that's that. I'm gonna stop the vote now. The g4 nearly won it, but C4 has come out on top in the end. So we got
Thor smiles is yelling at people to stop voting for G4.
Yeah, we get a lot of that. Yeah.
Yep.
We get you always get like someone will start to vote for a move and other people will pick it up, and then other people will start to shout, "No, that's a terrible idea, stop." And it usually depends on the amount of time that we give them to vote. Sometimes they manage to turn it around. Right, how are you going to deal with this then?
Well, I think no matter what, the next couple moves are going to happen. I think I'm going to put my rook on c8 and attack the c4 pawn, and they're going to play a move like pawn to b3 to guard it. And then I'm going to play a move like pawn a6 to kick the pony out of my home and kick that knight back. And that knight's going to head back to a square like c3. And I could even play a6 first. They'd probably play knight c3, and then rook to c8 would likely reach a very similar type of position. So I'm trying to deliberate in my head, like, do I want to activate the rook first, or do I want to attack the knight and force it to retreat to get rid of these sort of potential tactical threats of this pony coming into c6 or c7 or d6? And so I'm going to calculate a little bit here.
Sure.
I know I want the rook on c8.
When you're playing chess, how long do you normally, if you were, just on average, if you were playing, how long would you normally kind of think about moves? Because obviously this is very different. I'm kind of going to you, make a move right now, which is not normally what
and that's what this is. I mean, this is a rapid format, don't have much time, need to move quickly to keep the entertainment going, and that's what we're here for. But it depends on the format. I mean, so the World Championship games are like 6-hour games, right? Both sides have 3 hours for all of their moves broken up into segments, but basically the games on average last about 3 hours, but some of the games will go the limit and will go 6-7 hours. Really push how much time you can take on a. That's as long as a chess game can go in today's standard game, is about 7 hours, which is insane, right?
Yeah, of course.
For one game. But most of the time, I mean, on my shows and my streams, I do a lot of blitz and rapid and bullet, so I'm moving instantly. I'm used to sort of this style of chess where you have to rely on your intuition and you have to be thinking on your opponent's clock. And as I'm saying that, I'm actually gonna play a6. So go ahead and play the move pawn to a6 and attack that knight. And I can explain why I did it instead of rook c8 first, but I don't think it really matters. But basically, the faster the time control, the more a strong player has to rely on their previous experiences and their intuition, so their first gut instinct. But what I think a lot of people misunderstand about the best rapid players in the world, and this is just because in our society people don't have the level of focus that I think often they wish they did, is that the strongest chess players are thinking very, very hard on their opponent's turn. They're not just waiting for the opponent to move and then moving instantly and relying on their intuition. They're really doing a lot of their work ethic is going because they understand that a time advantage is a big advantage in practical chess, being up on the clock.
Yeah.
That doesn't apply in our game here. There is no clock running for either side. But I think that, so to answer your question, how much time do you normally take? It totally depends on the format and the time control. And the Pro Chessing, for example, is at 15 minutes per side. So it's like going to be a 35 minute game total, like depending on the extra seconds that go there. And so that's very quick and rapid for super level GMs who normally can play like 6-hour games, as I said, which is going to make it a lot of fun. It also forces the commentary to really be on their toes and try to give these little educational nuggets while the best players are sort of blitzing very quickly. And that's what we do a lot of on chess.com. It's a lot of fun. So
I find the blitz stuff. I love watching it, but I'm so bad at it because I need the extra amount of time. I make blunders at speed, very much so. So the sort of like 5-minute games, I just cannot. The only way that I ever manage to win the really quick games is when I just manage to run away really, really well, such that the other person's clock runs down. That's the only time I ever managed to win the sort of blitz and bullet games, really.
Well, I mean, I think that's okay. I mean, time is part of the game. That's why people play it, because it's fun to beat people on the clock and to play faster than them. But I think the challenge, there's a reason the best players in the world are also the best blitz and rapid players in the world.
Sure.
The time control getting faster, there were some exceptions. There are some particular rapid specialists who just tend to be really good when like they have to think faster. And I often say that's kind of a true measure of real talent, because to me, when you don't have the ability to think and overcome maybe some of your deficiencies and you're relying totally on intuition, often you see how good players really are. So I really like rapid and blitz chess for that reason. It kind of it kind of forces people to play with their naked knowledge, you know, just like and not a lot of time to overthink things. But you know, again, like it depends on the time control. I think at your level you have to learn how to balance still trying to play the best move and not just beating people on time, so that you can learn from those games. Otherwise, the games themselves aren't something you can really learn from if you're playing, you know, horrible moves and fast time controls, you know.
Sure. Right, I'm gonna stop the vote because the winning
Yeah,
move,
B5 C3 is pretty.
B5 C3 indeed. Yeah.
And
so,
I'm gonna quickly play A8 to C8. My rook is gonna go to C8. You can do it instantly.
Sorry, give me that one again.
Rook on A8 to C8, attacking
C8.
the C4 pawn.
Okie dokie.
So this is kind of what I said was going to happen, right? And I could have played Rook C8 first.
Yeah.
I anticipate they'll play B3 now. They may also play Queen to E2 to guard the pawn. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not even sure which is best, actually, so I don't want to... In the positions where I'm not sure, I will be quiet and not to try to give bad advice. I don't want to.
Yeah.
It
seems like at this point, though, you're pretty confident that you're going to win at this point. Would it be safe to say this?
I don't know if I'm confident I'm going to win. I don't know if I'm confident I'm going to win. I'm confident that I've equalized out of the opening as black. The first step I always say, and this is a mindset that, again, I think amateurs are always like, they struggle with grandmasters. Like, when grandmasters talk about it, they're very short-sighted. Like, I'm not going to say I'm going to win. I'm saying, like, the first step as black is you have to equalize. You have to give yourself an opportunity to be on equal footing with white, because white does have an advantage to start every chess game.
Yeah.
So once I equalize, now I'm just like, I have short-minded goals here. I want to make sure that I can activate my bishops and put pressure on the queen side without allowing white to get any sort of dubious tactics on the f-file. And because I don't see any concrete way for white to increase pressure, like how is this knight on d4 ever going to get to g5, let's say, and attack f7? Or suggest a plan for me where those knights find really, really delicious looking squares. That's usually what the knight need is a powerful square they can sit on. But my pawns on e6 and d6 are sort of, you know, like the whips keeping the lions at bay, are sort of denying the ponies access to these squares. So I feel very confident that black is not worse here, and I'm probably better. And yeah, if this were a blitz game and I knew I was playing like an equal player or even a grandmaster, like I would feel more confident I'm going to win. I have that much respect for the voting masses that they will find the best moves. And so I'm not going to say I'm going to win yet, but I like my chances.
Okay, that's good. Well, the move they're going for next is B2, B3. So B2,
it looked like it was close,
B3.
right? F3 to E2, moving the queen did get some votes.
Yeah.
But they play B3, so let's look at this. The obvious idea, and this is a very common repeating theme in the Sicilian, is to take advantage of the knight not being defended on C3. Now, the way I do that is play the move pawn to B5. Don't play that yet, but that's the idea.
Yeah.
Because the pawn on C4 is pinned. If it takes B5, I can gobble up the knight on C3, and I've won a piece. And I think that would be, you know, that makes sense to play B5 and to overload pressure on the C4 pawn. Probably then they'll have to play a move like Queen E2, and then if I can capture on C4 and kind of gang up against the C4 pawn, I've got some chances. But the only reason I'm not doing it instantly, because tactically it makes sense for black, and this is a very common trick in the Sicilian, by the way. If everyone wants to know, those of you who are really trying to get better at chess, this idea of B5, especially after white has played B3 and undefended the knight on C3, is a common repeating tactical pattern to be aware of. But the only reason I'm not playing instantly is because I still lack full coordination. My king on G8 and my rook on H8 are not ideal. I'd like to play pawn H6, walk my king up to H7, and bring the rook over and kind of complete full piece coordination. So every move I make that doesn't do that is a risky idea, because ultimately I will need all of my pieces to win. So it's like, what's the balance? Do I tactically strike or do I coordinate the king side first? And I'm going to go with the strike. I'm going to go with B5, so you can go ahead and play it now. I've sort of talked it out as I've been, believe it or not, I've been calculating while talking about nonsense. That's
so we're going, just to clarify, we're going B7, B5 on this, right?
Correct.
Okay, there we go.
And I'm going to force them to deal with the threats on that pawn, and I think I can get away with it. I don't think there's any tactical consequences to them punishing my king and rook not being ideal on the king side at this point. So that's why I went for it. Okay.
All right, that's fair enough. Right, Twitch chat. I'm gonna try my best to distract him now. Now listen, you need. This is the crux now. This is the crux moment. So don't mess it up, please. Let me ask you. So obviously, like with these streams that we've been doing, we have very much discovered that people on Twitch love watching chess. And you guys have done some of this, right? So, as far as I'm aware, last year you hosted the GM Blitz Battle Championship, and the final, with the final actually got to number 3 on Twitch. Was that right?
Yep.
Of like most viewed.
It was amazing. We actually, I mean, right now we've been averaging about 1,200, I guess. Like, I mean, we crossed 30,000 live concurrent viewers at one point. And that was and we were number 3 behind only 2 things, World of Warcraft and the Hearthstone World Championship, which was going on the same day.
Yeah. So
we were just amazed, and actually a previous one we did in that same event also got very high up there. It was awesome. I mean, the format is 2 top grandmasters play Blitz, myself and another sort of professional chess commentator provide commentary, giving people educational tips like I've tried to do today, having fun, just, sort of describing what's going on. And the best part is we have the players on camera. So even better than, like, Magnus Carlsen won the whole thing and he beat Hikaru Nakamura in the final, right? So those are two, maybe the best 2 rapid and blitz players ever. And so it wasn't just something to try. I mean, it was a big deal. We had the eyes of the whole chess world, both serious and casual. And with the players on camera, you can see their emotions, when they get pissed off if they blunder, or or if they're really happy when their opponent blunders, even more than you do in over-the-board tournaments. So I think that aspect of the players being on camera and the fact that the games are quick is just super appealing to people and so different from, I think, the way a lot of chess is covered, with people think of long standard classical games where, honestly, even former chess professionals or current chess professionals don't even watch all, the whole thing of those because it's just too long. So a lot of fun, and we're doing it again this year, but we're actually rebranding it. The name of it is going to be the Speed Chess Championship. So we're trying to build this, like, the World Speed Chess Championships. It won't be called the GM Blitz Battles anymore. It'll be called the Speed Chess Championship. It'll still probably have 8 of the top players in the world. We expect Magnus to return. We expect Hikaru Nakamura to return, and so those were the 2 favorites, and sure enough, they made it to the final. So it was awesome. I mean, Magnus in the semifinals also had like 18,000 live concurrent viewers at one point, so those are massive numbers to put up,
Yeah.
And I think we had 250,000 unique, different people come through. I mean, we were killing it for chess and a video game platform. It was cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing, isn't it, to see just how many people, it's kind of to see how popular chess is on that kind of platform, really.
Yep.
It's amazing. Right, let's stop the vote because we're looking at F3 to H3 here.
F3 to H3.
To H3.
Interesting.
Right.
I see the idea now. Okay.
You got it?
So they're threatening to play the move knight to D5. And if I take it, they get my rook on C8. So this is the idea.
Okay.
Sort of a cheap tactic, honestly.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do I want to deal with this cheapo? Chess players call these moves cheapos.
Yeah. That sounds like the Twitch chat to me.
Cheapo?
That sounds like the Twitch chat. Well done, Twitch chat. That is.
I actually have several. I have several ways to deal with this cheapo that all look kind of fun and effective. One idea I'm considering is rook to c5. It moves the rook away from this diagonal, and the rook on c5 is maybe threatening to go to h5 and kind of start attacking the queen. That could be some sexy stuff. I like that. What if I just take the pawn on c4? They play knight to d5. I move my queen. What's the follow-up? What's the follow-up for white? I guess there's moves like knight to b6. There's also moves like knight to f6 check and trade, which none of them seem concretely better for white, but they also seem a little bit unnecessary for me to allow at this point, where I feel like I've kind of kept control over the center of the board. So why change that? Rook to c5 looks darn sassy. It looks good. I like it. It removes the rook from the tactics. There's no immediate tactics on e6. I'm threatening to take c4 still with the rook on c5. I don't know. I mean, I'm going for it.
You like look at that? You wanna go c8, c5?
C8 to c5.
Right.
That's a rook lift, homie.
Let's do it.
Hopping on the elevator. hopping on the lift right now.
I'm excited to see how they deal
with this.
They
call it a lift, right, in England?
Yes. We don't have elevators.
You don't have elevators. Like, what is that word, elevator, right? I think a lift makes so much more sense.
Exactly. We have escalators.
You have escalators.
Yeah.
You don't call it like an esky or something? There's no nickname for it?
Escalators fine. We didn't like the word elevator. It was a bit too long for a thing that's just a lift, isn't it?
Right.
So yeah, just
leave it to America to screw that up.
I mean, in fairness, elevator's not a bad word, is it? It's got a nice number of syllables in it.
What? But, why are they talking about sacrificing on e6? I'm just gonna take. What is the threat? I take. You take. I take. There's no mate with the rooks. You're just losing a piece. Don't take on e6, everybody. You're just gonna lose.
Or maybe he's saying that just to throw you off. Right, let me go back to community questions. Although I really don't feel like this distracting is working very well. Atomic Raven, one of our wonderful regulars, asks a question that has nothing to do with chess, which I think is what we need right now. I think we've chessed for quite a long time, so let's have a break from chess. Although maybe it will be to do with chess once you've answered it. Do you have any pets?
Do I have any pets?
Yeah.
I do not.
Oh.
And the reason is that my wife is anti-pet. Well, okay, no, actually, we have a lizard. His name is Spike. He's a bearded dragon.
Yeah.
You can look up a bearded dragon. For lizards. They're very cool looking. They look like mini dinosaurs. We got it for my oldest son when he was 5. We've had him for 6 years now because he's 11.
Yeah.
So that answers the question. Some people wonder if I have a family. I am married.
Yeah.
In case you can't tell from the ring, and I have several children. But we don't have any pets because we have kids, and right now the kids are enough for us to do. The day that my youngest is out of diapers is the day that I regain all my life back. Right now I'm like, literally the life is being sucked out of me by my children on a daily basis. So
they'll love to hear that when they're older.
Right? No, they will. They know I tease them about it all the time. But in fact, my oldest son now, the problem is he says he wants to be a YouTuber, and I'm like, what's a YouTuber? And my wife is like, Shauna is like, you can't just like play video games for a living, and he's like, well, Dad does it. All Dad does is play chess and talk.
I mean,
and
he's
I'm
not
like,
wrong.
Well, it's not that
He's
simple.
not wrong.
And anyway, but now kids want to be YouTubers. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
but no pets.
I remember even when I was a teenager, like too long ago for me to say how long ago that was. But that was when YouTube was just starting, and I was like, oh, maybe I could do YouTube.
Right.
But yeah.
I still remember the. I mean, I don't know how old you are. I'm 30.
Yeah, me too. Snap.
Okay, so we're the same age. So I actually remember telling somebody, and the video that did it for me was Lazy Sunday. That first video that went viral from Saturday Night Live, right? And somebody said, "Have you seen this video, Lazy Sunday?" And I'm like, no, what's that? They're like, it's on YouTube. And I remember saying the phrase, "What's YouTube?" Like, what's YouTube? And like now it's like, right? You can't even tell that to people. Like, mind blowing. How could something that? But I remember saying, and then I think the other one was Charlie Bit My Finger. Charlie Bit Me.
Yeah.
So those two, I think those were like the first 2 videos to truly go viral on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because
Sunday.
those Charlie Bit My Finger people were British, they were paraded around on our TV for a very long time. And as they've gotten older, we keep seeing them over and over again.
Right.
It's great.
Oh, it's hilarious.
It's really good to see how they're getting on.
Yep, I mean, there's been so many parodies of that and so much stuff, but I remember that was the thing. And the problem is, like, a lot of people don't understand. I mean, for everybody any account who's gotten lucky and found a niche market and made it big, there's thousands of people like trying to do YouTube. It's so hard. There's so much content on the web. Nobody knows what to watch. It's very interesting.
Right, I'm gonna stop the vote because
what do we got?
We've got A2, A4. A2 to A4.
A2 to A4. Pork Scimitar says that you guys have offered a draw. Look, no. Hashtag no, Scott. Okay, I don't want to draw.
Are we at the point where the chat are now offering draws? Yeah, this does tend to happen.
That tends to happen when they start to get unhappy, I would guess. But okay, but that's
and we'll
not a
start
bad move.
Very soon we'll start to see the chat filling with the word resign as well. That will happen soon. I will bet you in the next 15 minutes the chat will be filled with the word resign.
That's not a bad move by them, though. Really not. I have a difficult choice here to make, assuming that they have the follow-up plan that I think they do. And I'm still I'm still a little irritated about my inability to find time to fully coordinate on the king side. So do I just want to go gobble the pawn and deal with the tactical consequences of that? I wish maybe I wish I should have played the move rook to c7 instead of c5, where I could guard f7, be a little more.
I mean, it's not great, is it? That this rook on h8 is just.
It's not.
I mean, what's he doing?
It's not ideal. It's far from ideal. That's the pro. So white has the initiative. As long as white can keep things going right now, while I struggle to coordinate.
Yeah.
That's white's chances, because in long term, as I've described, white has these bad e pawns. I have the bishop pair. Positionally, black is in phenomenal shape. Tactically, and because of the initiative, I have to find a way to get coordinated. So a4 is a nice move. I'm thinking about b4. I'm thinking about b takes a4. I'm thinking about b takes c4. I'm thinking about all of them. b4, if the knight relocates and I defend, I have more time that way. I have more time to coordinate and get out. And so as much as that's not a move I want to play, b4, because it loses my chances of taking c4. It's a move I'm considering, because it allows me to focus on the king side. Okay, what if I just takes b4, rook c7, b5, captures?
I'll tell you what. I'll do another repeat of my spiel while you're having a think. How about that?
Okay.
Give you a bit of extra time, because we keep giving the chat loads of time to think, don't we? But I'm not giving you much time to think. So, chat. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming along to our stream. This is Twitch versus Pure Chess, and you guys are playing chess currently, all together in the Twitch chat against Danny over there. Do you see him? Look, he's over there. How good's that? It's like the future. Now, the way that you play is that whenever it's your go, the white go, the Pure Chess bot is going to ask you to make a move into the chat. You can use the instructions which are up in the corner up there to type in one space to another space, and that will move one piece to another place. And the move that gets the most votes will happen. Now, we do this all the time. We do it all of the time, weekly, would you believe? So if you are enjoying this and you don't mind putting up with my face in the corner of your screen on a weekly basis, then please do consider giving us a follow, because we will make you cookies, and we won't really. That was a lie. I'm sorry, but we will really appreciate it. I'll make myself cookies and I'll eat them for you guys. How about that? You can't say no to that, can you? Right, there you go. I think I've given you enough time now.
Yeah, so, I'm gonna take on c4. I'm all in. I'm gonna take the pawn.
Right.
Yep.
So
I'm going for it.
We're gonna go b5 to c4 here, right? Or are you going the rook?
b5, pawn on b5 takes on c4.
C4, right? Cool.
If my calculations are correct, I should have enough time to fully coordinate before there's any issues on the queen side, despite it becoming open.
Okay.
I'll jump over to answer a Twitter question. For those of you who also, you can follow me on Twitter, in case you haven't seen @DanielRensch there on the screen. But somebody just asked, based on the world champion question I gave, he mentioned two people I didn't mention of the young guns, which I think is a phenomenal point. Said, what's your views with the hashtag Twitch Plays Chess? What's your views on Chinese Wei Yi and the Hungarian Richard Rapport? So these two young super studs just actually played a match where Rapport won on Wei Yi's home turf in a really exciting match. These are two super talented guys, and if I had to predict who will dominate the chess world within 10 years, I would go with Wei Yi. He's so young, though. I think he's 15, 16. Even at the 27, 40 plus level he's at, I don't think he's ready yet for even to say he's a world championship candidate. Not really, no, he's not. But he's a monster, and Wei Yi is the young Chinese who is just he's an animal. He's probably going to be the next dominant player like Carlsen, which is going to be cool, make chess even more global. And we've never had a Chinese world champion before. So that would be a nationality, a country, a culture that would be getting into the chess, in a way that it hadn't really ever before. They've been trying for a while. There's been a lot of top Chinese players over the last 10 years. They've really made a push in China for top chess players. But Wei Yi seems to be, of all, I mean, there was Bu Hongxi, there was Li Chao, there was Yu Yang Yi, who was really, really good right before Wei Yi. But Wei Yi he's the real deal. Richard Rapport, I feel like, is really young, but I haven't seen the discipline or the consistency to say that. I mean, he's brilliant, and he does some, like, he won our move of the year on chess.com. We hold this show called Chess Center, which everyone should check out. In fact, I'll give you I'll tweet a link, and hopefully we can get a retweet of the Chess Center's a weekly highlight show we do, like Sports Center for Chess. Yes, that's why we call it that. And Rapport is just a dynamite, aggressive player, super exciting chess. But I don't consider him a real threat to the throne yet. I mean, he's a couple years older than Wei Yi, and I don't know that he's going to figure out a way to be a little more disciplined and not always play sort of full throttle chess, which I don't think you can always do at the highest level. You got to be a little more disciplined. So, great question. Thank you for the chess question. Totally distracted me. I haven't looked at the chessboard in the last several minutes, but there you go.
That move, correct me if I'm wrong, the move of the year, was that the one with the queen sacrifice?
Are you talking about the one that Magnus played?
I remember just seeing one before I was nodding off to sleep last night, where with the moving the queen next to the king was someone's move
that was
of the year.
That was one of our moves, but it wasn't the move of the year. It was probably one of the most important and well-known moves of the year because it's the one that won Magnus Carlsen the title. A very, very sweet way to finish off winning a world championship match.
Yeah,
pretty cool for him. But Rapport's combination against Aronian with this just free rook sacrifice, rook h1, and this attack he did on the king side was just awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and tweet.
If you've got a link to that, tweet it with the hashtag, and we'll get Holly to grab it and paste it into the chat so everyone else can have a visual look at what we're talking about here. Because I find it fascinating. I love the moves that you look at, and when you immediately look at them, you don't immediately understand what's happened, and then as you follow the lines, you sort of, this kind of, okay, I see what's happening here, kind of falls over you. They're my favourite kind of moves. Now, let me stop the vote. Because the chat has gone B3 to B4.
Yep, as expected.
B4. There we go. Now then.
So I'm going to play the move rook to h5.
Rook.
Gaining a tempo on the queen.
So we've got C5 attack. To a h5 here, right?
C5 to h5.
Yeah. I'm making sure to doubly clarify all the moves from now on.
Right.
Because I would hate to mess a move up at this point.
Yeah, the game is getting critical. It's getting interesting, and this move b4 was definitely the best move. It creates this chance for the queen side to become sort of an issue for me while I'm struggling to coordinate. And it makes me wonder if I maybe should have played the slower move like rook to c7 just to keep the extra protection on the queen side. But I decided against it mainly because, one, I gain a tempo this way. I attack the queen, which forces a little bit, forces a retreat by the lady. And that gives me time to immediately play h6. And they're gonna do their action, and I'm gonna try to play king h7 and get coordinated, get the other rook in the game ASAP. I'm up a pawn right now. So this pawn on c4 is an extra one. That's a passed pawn for me as well. Kind of nice.
Yeah.
But this is dynamic. I mean, this is interesting, and I have to be careful. I think there's still tactical possibilities on f7. I can't just assume this is an easy up a pawn conversion of a game. Not at all.
No. Well, there's multiple different moves here, multiple different moves which are all vying for control. The top move keeps changing rapidly right now, so I might have to ask you a question to give them a little bit of time to decide. Our regular chess fanatic Perkle has asked another question, which I wanted to ask you quick. Hello, Perkle. Okay. Hope you're going to lose. So Perkle has asked whether Eric Hansen will be making a glorious return to chess.com, because he says that he loved his tactic announcements.
Oh well, of course. Eric is a regular streamer. I mean, Eric is the Chess Bra, sort of the Chess Bra founder. For those of you who don't follow their channel, the Chess Bras are pretty. They got their own brand going there. They listen to some weird, kind of like rave type music while they play chess and get drunk on camera. It's crazy, but but no, they're fun. The Chess Bras, Eric Hansen and Amon Hambleton and Robin Van Kampen are all regular commentators, and Eric and Amon just did commentary, I think, on Tuesday. So if you're asking where, they just did commentary for our Title Tuesday, which is a monthly tournament we host, a regular cash event for title players only. Those are chess professionals. So Eric does a lot. He will be doing highlights and preview shows like they've been doing, where they talk about big events. So Eric is a part of our plans in the future. I'm pretty sure they almost exclusively use chess.com these days, which is awesome. They've got their own gig and their own brand they're building with the Chess Bras, but they also do a lot of paid. We hire them for a lot of things. They do a lot of paid commentary work for chess.com. So absolutely. And I've known Eric since we were kids. I'm a few years older. I think I'm 3 or 4 years older than Eric, but we've known each other from my previous life as a chess professional. He's still a chess professional. I just play one on TV. So anyway, but yeah, no, Eric is great, and he's going to continue to do more for us.
Excellent. Right. Would you like to know the next move? Here we go. It is h3 to g4.
There
h3
it is.
to g4. Were you expecting this?
Yes, I was expecting that.
Sure.
Sorry, I got distracted looking at some of the Twitter questions coming at. But to let people know. 1 second.
Yeah, go for it. And again, for anybody who's just started watching now and is wondering what the heck is going on, you're playing chess against this man on this side of the screen.
Right.
Playing chess against Danny. Enter your move. Just follow what everybody else is doing in the chat, okay? You guys are white. Whatever, every single time it's your go, all you have to do is enter your vote for the move. There's instructions up there, okay? You all know how to do this by now. I'm sure you do. And if you don't, just follow what everybody else is doing. It's really easy.
Yeah, this is the right move, I think by White. Queen to g4. So what I'm calculating now is how quickly I need to activate and coordinate my king. As we know, I'm up a pawn. I have the 2 bishops, which are phenomenal. White has some weaknesses, but there's this massive pressure on the f-file. I'm worried about tactical consequences. I have to constantly calculate these knights popping into squares and doing weird stuff. But I've looked at all those things. I feel like I need to emphasize getting coordinated. So I'm going to play the move h6, pawn to h6,
Pawn to h6,
h7 to h6, and my plan is to bring the king up and to put the rook on f8 to guard f7, which will sort of free up my bishop on e8 to then do stuff. And as I sort of unwind here, the pressure for White to prove something increases quickly because of the long-term effects that favor Black in this position.
Yeah.
For those of you just joining, we've been talking about kind of the educational aspects of chess here in the sense that Black has some long-term positional features. The bishops are going to be better as the game goes on, and White has some pawn weaknesses here. Double pawns are weak because they can't defend themselves. And so they're sort of sitting ducks in a way.
But guys, he just explained all of his tactics to you, okay? So please, listen to what he's saying and just break it. Okay, break him.
Break it.
Break him. Find a path through. I believe in you, chat. I know you can
break it while I practice lifting my eyebrows. That's the thing I do.
I don't think I can do that. Hang on. Oh no! Someone's gonna clip that now on Twitch. Oh, why did I even try?
It's like a GIF, right?
I shouldn't have tried. I'm gonna try again. I think I can.
I've been drinking a lot of water. I think I need to go take care of something, and I'll be right back.
Right, you go do that then. You go do that.
I talk a lot, so I'm always keeping my voice lubricated.
I'll give them a pep talk while you're doing your business.
Give them a pep talk, everybody. You can do this. You can do this. Beat me.
Give me a C. Give me a H. Give me an E, etc. All right. He's gone. Quickly, let's talk about him while he's gone. No, chat. Listen. All right. I don't know if you understand this, chat. Okay, but if you manage to beat Danny today, you're all going to get a free game. Okay, you're all going to get a random free Ripstone game on Steam. Now, really, just beating Danny and wiping that smug off his face would be enough. But I need you to win so you can all get free games. Okay? It's a two-pronged attack here. Wipe Smile off base, get free games. Okay? That's what's gonna happen if you win. And how nice would that be? It would be wonderful, wouldn't it? It would be wonderful. So, just in case there's people who have joined and they don't know, they're like, well, how am I doing this? Let me explain it to you. It's very simple. It's very simple. This is Twitch versus Pure Chess, all right? And Danny, who is normally sat over there, who has vacated to La Toilette, he is being the black pieces, and you guys are being the white pieces, okay? And whenever it's your go, like it is right now, all you need to do is type in the coordinates of the piece you want to move to the way you want to move it to. So, for example, the top move right now is G4, E2, okay? If you agree, then feel free to type that into the chat now. If you think that's a really dumb move, let's not do that, then vote for one of the other moves. And then whatever's the top move is going to happen. And then, I mean, hopefully you'll be able to beat him. If you've got questions for Danny as well, because I know that a lot of people are asking questions, if you want me to actually ask the questions to him, jump in our Discord. Holly's just put a link. The Ripstone Games account in the Twitch chat has just put a link to our Discord in there. Jump in our Discord. In the chess channel, we've got a dedicated chess channel, and you can talk about the game in there as well. You can all talk about the moves that you want to do and try and plot to kill him or something. I don't know. I don't know how you're going to win this, guys. But yeah, get in there and make sure you do that, and I'll be able to ask all of the questions. Oh no, he's back! Quick, pretend like everything's normal and we haven't been talking about him. He's back. Hi, we definitely weren't trying to work out how to beat you. That's not a thing that was happening.
I mean, that's good. I was thinking about the position too in my head. I think there's some dynamic chances that the Twitch community has here.
Yeah. Well, do you want me to tell you what they've done?
Yes,
as their next move, let's stop the vote and find out. They have done G4 to E2. G4 to E2. So, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the sort of queen slinking away there? Because, I mean, obviously, it's still on a decent line. So it's not the
queen. The queen goes back to E2.
Yeah.
That's a good move.
Did you expect that? It seems like you didn't.
I didn't. I was looking more at a little bit more of an aggressive rush on the queen side, but this move makes a lot of sense. Hits the C4 pawn. The question is, do I want to give up the pawn in order to emphasize my coordination goals, or do I want to try to hold on to it, right? That's the question. So either queen to C7, which, you have to be careful whenever you overload a piece. And then the queen on C7 is given the responsibility of guarding C4. She's still guarding F7. Yeah. So be careful about that. But the thing is, my long-term goals of using the bishop pair and kind of outplaying the bad pawns are also, like, I'm not in love with keeping the C4 pawn. It's not the reason, like, it's not the key to me winning. I feel like the bishop pair and the rooks getting coordinated is going to be nasty as soon as I can do it. So because of that, I also like the idea in a philosophical sense. I like the idea of giving up the C pawn to just rush my coordination. But the more I look at it, it's not so much the C4 pawn. It's that queen on C4 would also be hitting my A6 pawn. Yeah. And kind of attacking. So because of that, I'm less wanting to give that baby up. So I'm going to move the queen to C7. Okay. Go ahead and make it on the board.
So we got E7 to C7 here.
Yeah.
Yep.
When I can, I'm gonna coordinate. I'm gonna get my king on H7 and then try to get things going. I also like this coming idea of something like bishop to E5 hitting H2. And am I actually threatening some tactics here with D5, where my queen on C7 opens up and hits the H2 pawn? You guys need to watch out. Look at that. Look at me playing mind games. Am I throwing you a curveball?
Don't listen to him.
Swing?
Don't listen to him. He's trying to distract you all from the free game.
Can you even do baseball references with a guy from England? Like, what's the deal with baseball? Like, you don't really like baseball, right?
Baseball. Well, let me tell you about baseball. It's over here we call it rounders, and it's what children play. So
there you go. So that answers my question, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm using this term of like throw you a curveball and that sort of stuff, but
I mean, we get curveballs. I understand it. I understand the basic
Right.
concept.
Right.
But we're more into cricket, which
Right.
you know. I mean, I don't know much about cricket, but I think curveballs can still happen in cricket. Cricket, I mean, as I'm sure you're aware, is like baseball, except it's even longer and even more boring. So
Right. No,
it's.
it makes sense.
I'd love to know how many people I've insulted in the chat here.
No, it's so true though.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good analogy though. Right. Do you know what? I'm gonna immediately stop the vote. I think because I might give it an extra second, but I mean B4 B5
Seems to be winning.
is gunning it here. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna stop the vote here because it's shot to the side. There's some other votes, but they're no way as high as B4 B5 right now. So let's do that one. B4 to B5 is the move.
Indeed. So, this was the kind of game I invited when I took on C4 and was willing to risk it to get the biscuit, so to speak. And I have to be ready to deal with the consequences of the queenside opening up because I've got this extra pawn. There are a number of moves here to consider. I mean, I think there's a whole host of candidate moves here. A5 is a move that just sort of closes up tactics over there, but gives you this permanently good pawn on B5, this passed pawn on B5, which I don't like. The other idea is just to play King H7 anyway, let you take A6, and try to get coordinated to go gobble up the A6 pawn after that. I can also take on B5. You take with the knight. I can't take with my bishop. That's the key. If I take, you take with the knight. I'd have to move my queen because if I move the bishop, you have F7. So, but if I take B5 takes and then reposition my queen, is there really any serious consequences there? I don't see them. I don't see any really serious consequences, to be totally honest. So why not just take B5? Why invite this complications where they can take A6 or play A5 and give the B5 pawn? Let's just take B5. Knight takes, I have to move my queen, but where's the next threat? Okay, hold on.
Shall I give you some more time? Shall I do some spiel?
I'm moving in just a couple seconds. I'm gonna. All right, I'm gonna take.
You're doing well, chat. You're making him think really hard. So something must be going well.
A takes B5 is the move.
You're doing what? Sorry.
A takes B5.
You're doing A6 to B5. Is that right? Yep. Okay. Sorry, I'm quadruple checking everything from now on.
No, I
don't want to be the person who messes this up now.
I appreciate it. No, it's good stuff. The game is heating up right now. I love it.
Yeah, this is good. This has been long as well. This has nearly been 2 hours now. This game has been going on.
I mean, this is like a single dynamic. This is an epic battle right here.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about it.
This is exactly the kind of game I wanted. Right, I need to try and distract you some more, don't I? So go Twitch chat. Do your votes while I ask questions. Okay, here's a question. So obviously you're gonna know. You might have an incredibly long answer to this. So let's. Basically, the question is, what for you, and I guess for everyone, but really for you, what are the big chess events that you are kind of most excited about this year?
Great question. So the chess events that I'm excited about, the two biggest events are the Pro Chess League, which is sort of a 4-month event, and then our own Speed Chess Championship. So if I'm being selfish to say the events on chess.com they're going to be massive. I mean, we're planning on increased prize funds for the Speed Chess Championship, and everyone again knows that was this massive, awesome event that ended with Magnus Carlsen versus Hikaru Nakamura. So the Speed Chess Championship is the biggest one. It's like our baby right now, and it should, I can't wait for that. It's like our world championship. It's our championship. Pro Chess League in its inaugural season. We'll see how that goes. I think league play and this global thing is really going to be a hit, but we're waiting. But the other big thing we're planning on doing is we have some variant championships, which I don't know if you know what chess variants are, Mike, but like playing Bug House or Crazy House. Have you ever played those?
No, I have not.
So Bug House is team chess. You play with another board next to you. You have a partner. And when you take your opponent's pieces, you get to give them to your partner, and your partner gets to use them on the board.
Wow.
So it's so anti the way normal people think of chess. One, because it's a social game. It's a team game. Those are two things that chess is never thought of as. And it's a wild game of a little bit of unpredictability, much more kind of luck and randomness in it, and it's a huge hit. We launched Bug House on our site. You can, just with a free account, you can play Bug House on chess.com, and you just pair up with a teammate. So we're doing some Bug House tournaments, and we plan on doing a Bug House championship with like a real cash prize fund. And so I think the variants, and Crazy House is like Bug House, but it's single player. So Crazy House is, instead of when you take a piece, you give it to a partner. When you take a piece, you get that piece for yourself and you get to place. So Crazy House is also very popular. We actually just held a Crazy House. So I think chess variants are a big hit. I think more and more people get into them. They're like, wow, this is really challenging. That we have other stuff too, but chess variants are the ones I'm looking for. As far as over the board chess tournaments, Super Tournament getting ready to start in Viking Z in the Netherlands is the Tata Steel tournament is a big one. But really, I think everyone just kind of waits for the Grand Prix, for the candidate cycle to start again, so you can start seeing who's going to be able to challenge Magnus Carlsen for the throne, which won't be this year, but next year there'll be another World Championship match, depending on who wins that. So, but I'm much more excited about kind of what we're doing online, obviously. But I think that of course, we have coverage. I mean, right now our team was actually hired to go and provide the on-site technical broadcast in Viking Z. So if anybody follows the Tata Steel tournament, you'll see our logo there. You'll see our team is on site. Peter Dockers is our news guy who also does a lot of the broadcast stuff. So we're like everywhere. We do chess high and low.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's awesome.
Honestly, it's exhausting.
Yeah,
really
I bet.
We cover chess. I mean, we send Peter all over the world, and we sent a team of 3 people. I don't think anybody else there even really had like a full journalist team, and we had 3 journalists on site at the World Championship. So we invest a lot in covering top chess, even though it's not even like the biggest part of our market. There aren't a lot of, if I'm being totally honest, financial returns, but we do it really as a service to the community because we're covering like every chess event that's played in the world all the time at chess.com news. I mean, we really are. We're covering everything.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Right, so while you were talking, an interesting thing happened. We had one move, a4, b5, shoot to the top, and then we immediately had people saying, no, don't do that. And instead, people started voting in droves for c3, b5. And then people then started saying, no, do a4, b5. And these 2 moves have gone back and forth. But the one that has ended up on top is c3, b5.
Interesting. So they're going to take with the knight.
C3,
I think that's actually the move I expected, honestly, attacking the queen. I don't know that it's any better than a takes b5. I'm going to quickly, I believe, play my move, but let me be sure because now it's tactically dynamic enough. I don't want to blunder.
Yeah, I mean a blunder at this point would be
less than ideal, as they say. It would be less than ideal.
Yes.
But how to do it? I mean, I realize I'm not in a huge rush. I don't need to be overly aggressive with this move that I was going to play, which was queen to c5, which I think is a good position for the queen. It's a centralized position for the queen on c5. She puts pressure on the knight on d4, but I also am liking just queen to e7, just going right back where I was, because if they take c4, do I have tactics like queen h4? I guess not. I guess I need to be a little more willing to kind of slow down here and guard the c4 pawn.
I mean, I'll tell you what though, the chat, a lot of people in the chat are saying, no, we've done a terrible move, but they're obviously making you think quite hard about this. So
yeah, well, it's tactical. So I'm gonna go queen to c5. Go ahead and play it. It's on the table.
5.
So this is tricky. There's a lot of different tactics could go on here. I've got some different threats I'm not going to say out loud just yet because I know the Twitch chat wants me to do that, those who wait a second because they're smarter. So I'm going to I'm gonna wait a second before I reveal that. But I mean, my overall goal is still very clear. I want to play King H7. I want to coordinate and get all my pieces going. But the C4 pawn's gonna be under fire. White's gonna attack the C4 pawn. I have to be careful about this D6 pawn because the knight on B5 is sort of got his eye on the D6 pawn. Kind of a big bully there. So I'm going to make sure I'm calculating the tactics along the way. I got a question on Twitter. Someone asked, what exactly am I drinking? This is a vitamin drink. I'm coming off a cold. Mike can even confirm for you. I had to cancel. I've had a sore throat and kind of a congested thing going on here. Hashtag kids, right? Hashtag they bring home germs. So I've got, but I've got a little bit of a mineral drink here, full of emergency and vitamin C and all kinds of stuff.
Nice. I'm drinking water and eating drumstick squashies. I don't know if you have these in the Americas. Squashies, they're called.
What's a squashy?
Oh, let me tell you what a squashy is.
Yeah, I can't wait for this.
Not that I'm looking for, sponsorship from squashies here or anything, but these are my favorite things. They're just like really squashy drumstick style sweets. I don't even know if you've got drumsticks over there. Do you have drumsticks? I don't know.
Well, a drumstick is
like a lollipop, basically. No.
Interesting.
Maybe you don't. Yeah, you probably don't have them. They're probably a British thing, or maybe a European thing. I don't know. But it's like it's a squashy thing. I feel like I'm going on about this too much, but they're really nice. So if you're ever over here, get squashies.
What is it? What is it, like a gummy? Is it a
little
treat?
bit?
Is it a chip or a treat?
It's very difficult to describe. It's very difficult to describe. It's just. It's kind of, I think it's sort of, it's raspberry, it says on the front. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to guess that. It's kind of milky as well. I feel like we've gone off topic here, but yeah, it's a bit milky. Really.
Oh, this is the topics I really care about.
Yeah.
This right here.
Yeah, well,
you're increasing my repertoire here to be able to talk about different things.
Squashies, get involved with squashies. Right, I'm gonna stop the vote because we've had an influx of votes.
Okay.
While I finish this squashy off for F1 C1. F1 to C1.
As I expected. F1 to C1. The rook has moved to C1. They want my pawn.
Dreadbit in the chat there says squashies are the best. Yes, nice. Dreadbit, you're correct. You're correct. Well done.
Squashies are the best. You passed the test. So, now that the F7 pawn pressure has been relieved, I can finally consider moving my bishop on E8. So I can consider taking on B5, and if they take with the pawn, I can actually take on D4 next. And so it ends up being kind of a big trade. I have to be careful as the position opens up that I don't become punished for this lack of full development on the king side. So bishop takes B5 is definitely on my mind. Also just playing pawn to D5 here. Just guarding the C4 pawn, just providing even further protection for it and saying, it's not going anywhere for a while. So D5 is only bad because it lets you undouble your E pawns. You can play E takes D5, and after I capture, you've sort of eliminated one of your massive positional weaknesses. I also have a move Queen E5, which forks the pawn on H2 and the pawn on E4. I'm hitting two pawns. Now I'm going to lose my C4 pawn in a line like that, but I'm regaining other things. So let's see, but I need to calculate clearly. Less talk, more action here, Dan. Talk less, smile more, as the legendary Aaron Burr would say.
Well, you have a think. You have a think, and I'll do spiel again, okay? We've only got about 3 more spiels before the end of the stream, I think. So hopefully people are enjoying the spiel by now. Guys, if you've just joined the stream, or if you joined in the last 15 minutes or so, this is Twitch versus Pure Chess. You guys are playing Pure Chess against Danny Rensch, who's over there. Look, he's over there. Look at him thinking really hard. Let's distract him. And all you guys need to do, you guys are the white pieces, and he's the black pieces. And whenever it's your go, the bots, the Pure Chess bot in the chat is going to ask you what move you want to do. Use those instructions up there, okay? Up there, can you see them? Use those instructions to vote on the move you want to do. And whichever move is voted for the most will happen. And if you guys win, not only can you laugh at Danny, then you'll also all win a free Ripstone game on Steam, which, I mean, I feel like winning would be a wonderful thing for you.
No, I mean, I don't know if I agree with that, but yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, get on it. You're doing okay now, chat, actually.
All right.
I'm on your side. Let's do this. Right, go on then. What are you thinking?
I'm taking on B5.
On B5.
Go for it.
So you're going to do E8 to B5.
Yes, sir. It's
okay.
risky. I'm a little nervous about leaving my F7 pawn guarded, because in a lot of the tactical lines I look at, I worry about that F7 pawn. But I calculated it enough that I feel confident there's nothing immediate, which means I am in control of it as long as I don't blunder.
Yeah.
And I think this trade leaves white with a very tough decision. Taking with the pawn or the knight, neither is really ideal for white. Taking with the knight allows me to play the move pawn to C3, where I keep my pawn, and the bishop on G7 is opened, and the pawn is protected. It's kind of irritating for white. But if they take with the pawn, then I can play bishop takes D4 and gobble up the knight with my bishop on G7, and we're about to get a massive simplification where I think in the end we're going to get an endgame where I'm winning, where I'm up, where I'm up a pawn, basically up a pawn in a rook ending that should be winning.
Okay.
So that's where my head's at right now. Full transparent. Danny is an open book, right?
I hope you're all listening to him, chat. I hope you're taking this in and using it against him. Now, I'm going to stop the vote because one move has shot to the top. It is A4, B5.
Okay. So they're willing to take with the pawn, but that's, so now I don't know how well they've calculated that I have two options here. I can play, maybe I have more than two, but I have C3 as a move still, which puts the pawn one square forward, protects the pawn so that it's not under fire. And I don't see exactly how it's gobbled up, but queen to D3 looks like a solid response there. So I think the real key I need to look at is bishop takes D4. And after pawn takes D4, I'm going to play either queen takes B5 or queen takes D4. I just haven't been sure yet of which one. And as long as I can play bishop takes D4, C takes, capture the pawn, as long as I can get my king to G7, I should be in okay shape. Should be able to win the ending. And my rook on H5 is actually very useful that it defends my queen on B5. So I like this line. I'm going to simplify. I'm capturing on D4, headed toward the endgame that I prophesized, hashtag foreshadowing. And let's get there.
Good use of hashtagging there. So that's to clarify, that's the bishop to D4.
Bishop to D4, homie.
Bishop to D4. Let's do this.
I'm nervous. Can you see it?
Yeah.
I don't ever. Here's the thing about me. Okay, I don't ever play chess games that I care about anymore. I used to play chess games, but there's a feeling of playing a chess game over the board when I was competing as a young professional and competing for like national championships scholastically. There's a rush of the intensity of winning a chess game in a tournament that is unlike, and I mean, the adrenaline is crazy. And a lot of people don't know that because they've never played tournaments like that. I mean, it's the dopamine is addicting, and the adrenaline is crazy when you're playing serious over-the-board tournament chess. And this is the closest I've played to an over-the-board tournament game in probably like a year, because most of the time I'm playing blitz and bullet. Not that I don't care about those, and I hate losing. I get upset when I lose, just FYI. I don't punch through walls, as somebody said I look like I could do. But you
can punch through your own walls. That's fine.
Yeah. So but I don't play serious games like this where there was like a lot of discipline, a lot of thought into it on my part. So I'm almost proud of myself here.
Nice.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Nice.
I'm almost proud of myself.
Don't let him. He's being too smug, guys. Come on, have him for goodness sake. I'm gonna ask you questions. Maybe that will help. Which question should I ask here? Let's ask this one. Bud Breath Panda in Discord, and remember, if you guys want to ask questions, get in the Discord, asks, how many moves ahead do you usually prepare for?
How many moves ahead do I usually think?
So how many moves ahead are you normally keeping in your mind on average?
That's a question that is often asked of strong players, and again, like the time control question, I will answer it with like it depends on the time control, depends on the situation. But I would say much more often than people think, the best players in the world are calculating 4 to 5 moves deep, even 3 to 4, 4 to 5 moves deep. But then assessing what I would call like the essence of the position, constantly assessing the weaknesses for both sides, the general targets, relying on their experience and their pattern recognition of what's good and bad, what pieces to trade in this given pawn structure, what pieces not to. Am I attacking the king? Is there justification for that? Is the king weak? So I think people underestimate, they have the legends of chess masters can calculate 50 moves ahead.
Yeah.
And in terms of pure calculation, if you actually challenge them in a situation where that was necessary, I played blindfold simul's. I've played up to 12 games blindfolded at one time. So I can calculate a lot. I mean, there's no limit to what I can see ahead if I'm fully focused. But how well can you see ahead and still visualize the essence of the board properly? That's the question. So what strong players are doing in order to control the game is they're calculating enough to feel like they're making an evaluation that makes them feel like they're still better. They're evaluating things about the essence of the position while calculating, and very often it's probably only 3, 4, 4, 5 moves deep, honestly.
Right. Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask. Should I ask you another question or should I do the move? I'm gonna see what the Twitch chat has done before I ask you another question. Let me stop the vote here. It is C1 C4.
Now this is what I was expecting originally when I initially went for this tactic. Here's the truth. Okay?
Yeah.
When I initially was nervous about capturing on B5 and going for this line, this is exactly the move I was scared of, because this move is a double attack of my queen and bishop. The thing is, though, I saw a tactic here that I'm going to launch right now that I feel pretty excited about.
Okay, go for it.
I'm going to sacrifice my queen.
Oh, snap.
And
let's do this.
And when I do so, I'm going to eventually have 2 rooks for the queen in a position. So I'm going to play, don't play it yet, but my idea is I'm going to capture on E3 with the bishop.
Okay.
He has to take my queen with the rook, and my bishop on E3 is going to retreat and capture it. Now, in that line, the rook on F2 is pinned to the king, so there's no way they can avoid me just capturing on F2 if that's what I want to do next move. So we're headed toward an endgame where, at the very least, I'm going to have 2 rooks versus the queen. Now, the one danger about this line that makes me nervous and why I'm rethinking or I'm making sure is this B pawn is passed, so I have to be careful about that passed pawn. I want to make sure my rooks can coordinate properly to gobble up that guy. But what's really cool is actually... What's really cool is I wonder if I don't even have to take the rook. Like, my rook and bishop are so dominant on the dark squares, it's a really cool queen sack. So bishop takes E3, rook takes C5, bishop takes C5. I expect to move king F1 to try to unpin the rook. If I capture and they take with the queen, I can just gobble B5. If they take with the king, I quickly play moves like king up to G7. There's a check. I block with the rook. B6, I get the rook over. I feel very confident about that. I love this sacrifice. I love the fact that I don't see that white can push the B pawn fast enough to prevent my rooks from coordinating. So I am all in like Flynn. Let's do it, baby. Queen sack, first time ever on Pure Chess. Boom. Just kidding. Maybe not the first time, but I'm kind of I
mean, this to me sounds... I understand the logic, but it also... just the idea of sacrificing a queen like this sounds crazy.
Is that the first queen sack ever?
I mean, on one of these streams we've done, yeah.
Wait, say that again?
Yeah, I think so. So essentially, you're saying to clarify, you're saying you want to take on E3, right?
Bishop takes E3. I'm sacking the queen. I'm doing it.
I mean, I'm excited about this. This is...
I feel so good about it. It's honestly, it's hardly kosher how good I feel right now. So it's. Let's just say that there's a lot going on right now in my body.
Goodness. I mean,
so I feel so excited.
I'm kind of excited for this as well. I hope you haven't miscalculated anything about this, because this is...
You know what? I hope too, because I think this is going to be a fun way to end this game. And I thought they would go for this. It's the one line I didn't mention in my head. But if you notice, I did give them a clue, just so I wasn't being a bad guy.
Yeah.
I did tell them the line I preferred for white was after bishop takes d4 was for white to just capture the bishop back. That was the line I said publicly. But I kind of expected them to go for this, and I am pretty psyched about it.
Yeah, I mean,
So
as
the
you'd
only
expect,
move,
we're
I mean,
seeing a
you might
lot
as
of
well go
C4,
with it.
C5.
The overwhelming is C4, C5. Yeah, so go ahead and gobble the queen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone's doing it. I'll give it another 10 seconds just in case someone decides, no, we're just seeing more of them. Yeah, all right, I'm stopping the vote because it's definitely C4, C5 here. So we go C4, C5.
And I'm going to capture with my bishop on E3 as stated. My bishop on E3 retreats and captures the queen on C5.
Right. Oh my god. Oh dear. All right. This is. I mean, I want to see what they do now. This is the one now. How they respond to this is going to be the deciding. Oh my! I can't even contemplate what they're going to do now.
This is so much fun. I love. First of all, there's nothing that gets me going more than a queen sack, both on the board and off the board. Okay, there's nothing that does it for me more. Secondly, I'm gonna say that this position's about to get nasty. I am going to show that the initiative and threats is more important than the value of the queen here. As long as I can gobble up the b pawn before something tactically awkward happens.
I mean, there's loads of different things going on here now in the chat. I'm gonna have to leave this going for a while because there's all kinds of stuff going on. Let me ask you another question. So you kind of talked a little bit about it earlier, but Dastardly Knight, rather than Dastardly Knight, I don't know if he typed the wrong thing into the box when he was naming his username, on Discord, asks, when and where did you become an IM?
So I became an international master many moons ago. It was, I believe, what funny thing is the third norm I achieved on record was actually my fourth norm. Now, the way becoming international master works is you have to achieve a certain level rating. 2,400 FIDE is the minimum. FIDE is the International Chess Federation that sort of governs titles and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you have to have a minimum 2,400 rating. So I achieved that, and then you have to achieve performance norms, which is where you perform at actually above a 2,500 level at least 3 times. So you kind of have to perform almost at a GM level to get an IM norm, and when you get a GM title, you have to perform even higher than a GM level. So it's designed to measure not just someone's consistency, which is their rating, but also their ability to win when it matters, which is what the norm is all about, a performance norm.
Yeah.
So I achieved my third and final norm at the Berkeley International. I think it was in 2005 or 2006, maybe.
Okay.
No, it was 2007 or 8, maybe. I need, but it was the Berkeley International.
I'm trying to work out my own age against yours to try and. It must. Well, if you're the same age as me, then it must have been 2005, 2006, I think. Because I think in 2008, I think that was when we were 21. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
But I actually learned that it was actually my fourth IM norm because I achieved a norm in Russia. I went to Moscow when I was 15 for the whole summer and trained with Mark Dvoretsky. RIP. Mark Dvoretsky actually passed away this year. He's probably considered the most legendary chess teacher in the history of chess teachers. Mark Dvoretsky has a whole series of books, Chess School of Excellence. So Mark Dvoretsky, I went there and trained with Mark in person for a month and a half, and then I also trained with Sergei Domatov and Igor Zaitsev, also the late Igor Zaitsev, who was Karpov's trainer, former world champion. So when I was 15, I actually spoke fluid Russian then. I can still speak and understand it, but I'm not as fluid as I was then. So I spent the summer in Moscow, trained with Dvoretsky, and I played a tournament there and got a norm. But the organizers never told me. I was only like 2250 FIDE. I was young, and I didn't ever follow up on it. So when I actually got my final norm, I learned that I had already achieved the IM title even earlier at the norm. Oh, that's right, because my final norm that I thought I achieved was actually at the Spice Cup, which was in Texas. Which Spice is the Susan Polgar. That's kind of her thing. She ran this program at Texas Tech. She's now at the Webster University in St. Louis. But Susan Polgar is the former women's world champion, is sister of the legendary Judith Polgar. The Polgar sisters are kind of well known for their chess prowess. And so I achieved my norm that I knew was my final norm at the Spice Cup, but actually I had already achieved it earlier at the Berkeley International, which I didn't know.
Wow.
I know what you're thinking. That was way more than I needed, Danny. Way more
No,
info.
that was well interesting.
It's interesting,
That's amazing
right?
you
How
didn't
that
know.
happened. The whole thing was weird because of this whole thing in Russia.
Yeah.
So I actually became an IM a year earlier, or maybe it was like 6 months earlier than I thought before the Spice Cup. But I didn't apply for the title because I didn't know that I had that norm.
Oh, I thought that maybe when it happened, you just became it on the spot. I didn't know you had to then apply for it as well. That's wow.
I thought Igor Zaitsev had passed, so I guess I'm wrong. Igor Zaitsev is actually still alive.
Oh really?
I mean, Mark Dvoretsky definitely not. So I apologize for that, but I apologize if I called a premature one on Igor. Igor was awesome. What we did was blindfold training all day. What we would do is Igor Zaitsev and I, Grandmaster, would play a blindfold game against each other and keep notation, and then we would review the game only in our heads, and we just did this for like 6 hours.
Wow.
It was a blast.
Flippin' heck. Well, there we go. Right, I'm gonna stop the vote because E2, B2 has stormed ahead. So let me do that. E2 to B2. All right. How'd you feel about that one then?
Queen E2 to B2. So this is interesting because it's a very useful place for the queen. The queen on this diagonal hits H8, which is really irritating, so it attacks my rook. It also has threats to come into one of those squares and maybe attack F6. So that's a strong and rather irritating move to some degree. But it also maybe has a flaw because they're not doing anything to unpin this rook on F2. This F2 rook is still mine for the taking when I want to, so I don't have to take it either. Taking F2, they would take with the king and hope that I go like pawn gobbling or something, like rook takes H2, and then they get to run their B pawn. But what I need to do is just coordinate, and so I really like the move rook to E5, which does two things. One, it blocks the queen's diagonal of hitting H8, so I can play king to G7 next move. But also, if they play B6, if rook E5, B6, and then rook takes E4, I'm threatening checkmate on E1. And then if they guard that checkmate by moving the king, then I even have this move rook to B4. This is crazy.
This is definitely one of the more interesting games I've seen when we've done these. This is all over the place.
This is crazy.
Do you need some extra time to think?
No,
Are you sure?
I feel very confident about rook to E5. Let's go ahead and do it.
All right, so we're going H5 to E5, correct?
Rook H5 to E5, correct.
Right. Okie dokie. Okay. Right. Let's see how the Twitch chat responds to this while I distract you with another question.
I think we dropped some viewers because the people who didn't like losing threw
that
in the
must
towel
be it.
left.
That must be it. They've started to rage quit on you.
They started to rage quit. That's right. But we're pretty happy so far with with how it's gone.
I mean, we're gonna have to see which way this goes at this point because this is this is a strange one. This is a cool one. Let me ask you, with your chess.com stuff, what exactly, can you tell me what the plans are for the GM Battle Championship that you're doing?
Sorry, I was looking at Twitter. Say that again. The GM
the
battles.
The GM Battles Championship that you're doing. Can you explain this to me?
Yeah, so it's like a bracket. Well, it's not like so we seeded 7 players. And these were Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano Caruana, Hikaru Nakamura, 7 of, I think all 7 players we seeded were in the top 15 in the world. And many of them, we had Magnus, which kind of says it all. He's the best player. And then we had an 8th spot that was open for grabs via a qualifier. This year, we are probably going to do the same format. The only reason we haven't gone public with the exact format yet is 2 reasons. One, we're in kind of negotiations with some different sponsors that may come on board, and so we kind of want to wait for that. And secondly, I think we had thoughts we might increase the field and go to 16 players and get more guys like Wei Yi and Richard Rapport, get some younger guys in there and just kind of see what happens. But it depends some on the prize fund we feel we can put up. If we feel like we can justify and really increase, get as much money as we can in these awesome events, and before we decide that. And also depends on the format. But it'll either be 8 players or 16 players. It will be the Speed Chess Championship on chess.com. And we hope to have increased prize fund and even more attention from the world on this thing. But the bracket, I can tweet it. The bracket, you can see how the whole thing played out.
Okay.
Starts out by seeding everybody as like the 1 seed, the 2 seed, whatever, and then one played 8. So Magnus played Tigran Petrosian, who was an Armenian grandmaster that qualified to be the qualifier. So he played him in the first round. And then 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. And so then they move on like a March Madness. If you follow, I guess that's U.S. college basketball. You're probably not into that. But it's a bracket, elimination bracket style. So very, very fun. It makes you on the edge of your seat because every match is an elimination match. So
okay, fair enough.
Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, we don't really do basketball so much over here. Although I am incredibly lanky, so I was pretty good at basketball at school.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I was born in the wrong country, I guess.
Yep, you know what?
Could have taken that far, maybe.
You could have been a contender.
Yep. Now let's stop the votes, and we have G1F1 is the winning move here. So
as expected.
To F1.
I am now going to play Bishop takes F2. Go ahead and capture the rook.
Okay, so we're going C5 to F2.
Yes, sir.
Okie dokie. Right. Okay. And now we'll see how they respond to this.
I love when people are really upset about the move. You got people just freaking out, and some people are like, yeah, that's...
Yeah, this is the part of the game now where people start freaking out. The most interesting thing when we do these is that people will freak out and the chat will go crazy, but then a move later, they're calm again. They're calm and focused. There's sometimes a move will happen where they'll all go, no, it's over. That's it. Everybody go home. We're all dead. But then a move later, they're going, oh, maybe we've still got this. This is where the roller coaster, the chat roller coaster begins, with people all over the place. I've got more community questions I need to get through here. So, Atomic Raven, who previously, oh no, sorry, it's not Atomic Raven who asked this. My apologies. Holly of the Ripstone team would like to ask a question. She asks, what advice would you give to a beginner trying to improve their game?
What advice would I give to a beginner to improve their game? Well, obviously a chess.com premium membership is the first thing.
Hashtag ads.
First thing.
Nice.
Hashtag shameless plug. So a chess.com premium membership is, I mean, in all seriousness, we have tons of training tools. But what do beginners need to do? Let's give real chess teaching advice. What do beginners need to do? Most importantly, you have to play and you have to learn from your games. A lot of people dive in and start playing chess without really any discipline about figuring out what went wrong when they lose. And, just by playing chess, you will get better, but you will reach your cap faster if you're not reviewing your games, and your trajectory will be much more up and down and slower if you're not reviewing your games. So play chess for free on chess.com. That's not even a premium membership plug. Play chess for free and try to establish one thing that went wrong per game. You can do that either with like the free analysis engine. We have an analysis engine tool that will immediately analyze the game and show you where you sort of change the evaluation with a bad blunder. Or you can do that by having a coach or maybe make a friend and ask them what went wrong. But even if all you're doing in your games is establishing one mistake, so that's beginner advice. Play chess, learn from your mistakes. The next thing you have to do is tactics. You have to be able to solve. I think you should probably be solving 20 to 30 puzzles a day to really start to familiarize yourself, because there's 2 levels of calculation in chess, all right? There's your ability to look at something you've never seen before and go, I go there, he goes there, I go there, he goes there, as deep as you can and try to calculate. And but in order to make an evaluation at the end of that line, what are you relying on? It's like getting in a car and driving. If you don't know the destination, the fact that you made a left turn or right turn, does it make a difference if you don't know where you're going? So if you're not aware of what you're trying to reach, if you don't have a goal, if you're not even familiar with the tactical patterns, it's much harder to have substance in the lines you're calculating I go there, he goes there, I go there, he goes there. So the way you establish pattern recognition is by solving puzzles. And by going over your games too. But if you don't have a coach, you can go over your game and be a little bit like the blind leading the blind, right? So you don't really, I mean, I think that's a turn off for people. But at least if you solve puzzles, you are familiarizing yourself with tactical sequences that occur commonly. And on chess.com, you can actually sort the puzzles by theme. So you can familiarize yourself with all the pins you need to know and all the forks you need to know and all this you need to know. That's kind of the key to getting better, is pattern recognition. Because when I'm out calculating someone and doing it really quickly, relying on my intuition, that intuition comes from somewhere, right? I always used to tell my students, like, you know, at first a baby, you have to keep them away from the stove that's hot because they don't know that it's hot until they burn themselves. Then it's like your body even develops like intuition, like you would pull away your hand before it gets to the point of burning you, right? You're able to sort of act on second nature, and second nature is built via pattern recognition, and you develop pattern recognition by playing games and learning from mistakes, by solving tactics. And if I was to give one third thing, I would say that, and I very carefully say this because a lot of amateur and beginner players get too obsessed with their openings too fast. They get obsessed with learning an opening as if they think there's some magical trick to beat a stronger player. As if they think if they just figure out the secret sauce, Mike, then they'll be better at chess. If they figure out the magical weapon that you know, and there are weapons to play, like, you know, there are tricky openings, but overall the best players in the world repeat probably the same like 20 to 30 openings. And if you want to get better, you should at least play the same thing. So what I recommend with beginner players is don't become obsessed with openings. Be consistent. Like, go to chess.com/openings, learn a basic opening, and then try to repeat it. Like, try to actually play it in your games. Don't play something new and different every time, because what do you do when you repeat it? You increase your chances of seeing the same position again, which is pattern recognition, right? Your trajectory gets much faster the moment you're playing positions for the second time, the third time, the fourth time, and you're aware of the mistake you made last time, so you don't have to make it again. And this is like, so if I was going to give three things, I would say, get a consistent opening repertoire, solve puzzles every day to improve your pattern recognition, and try to establish one mistake you made in every game. So there you go. Hashtag drops the mic. Hashtag way too long of an answer. Hashtag sorry about that.
Nice.
Let's get back to the game.
Nice. I'm loving the hashtags. I should do more hashtags. I feel like I'm missing out. I'm missing out on the hashtags. Right. Let's stop the vote. Because the overwhelming majority are voting F1, F2.
Right.
So
it's got to be the only
vote. F1 to
and
F2.
I am going to instantly play the move King to G7.
King to G7.
Finally, dun dun dun! Like the bells. Let me ring my own bell here. I got a bell here.
You've got a bell. You had a bell ready for that moment. That's amazing.
Finally, like
that looks like the faulty towers. Looks like the faulty towers.
Angels get their wings because I've coordinated my pieces, right? King to G7. I finally finished castling my hand. My rook on H8 will be free to come over to the B file and gobble up your B pawn any moment.
Nice.
And I feel good. I feel good about chances here.
We've got loads of the similar types of questions happening on Discord right now. So Capablanca asks what your favorite baseball team is, and Ray on Discord asks what your favorite basketball team is.
Well, I'm an Arizona boy.
Yeah.
You know, our company's in California, but I'm from Arizona, and so I like the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Phoenix Suns. I miss the Steve Nash era, like a lost lover. I loved Steve Nash. I was obsessed with the Suns during Steve Nash, and very heartbreaking that the Suns didn't win a championship during that era. I'm really not a big sports guy now, though. I'll be honest. When I was in my early to mid 20s, I followed all the sports teams really closely. Like now, I'm kind of a fair weather fan. Like I'll follow the Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals, or the Phoenix Suns, or the Diamondbacks. And I'm a proud fair weather fan because I actually don't believe in the fanatic, crazy mentality that we should have to torture ourselves when millionaires suck at their job. So I believe that I should be allowed to root and be happy when they're good and enjoy it, and I don't have to be miserable if they suck. Like that's just my theory, all right? And like I know people are like, "Wow, Danny, like you're not a real fan." And you know what? You don't know what you're talking about because when they win, like I'm enjoying it, and I actually am. I consider myself a pretty knowledgeable fan. Like I'm always aware who plays, and I kind of keep track of the record, but I'm not. I don't have to watch every game. I don't watch sports. I don't watch sports regularly, and it's because. Maybe you could say because the Arizona teams aren't that. If the D-backs were like a crushing team, like would I watch more baseball? Yeah, and I'm okay with that, because I think that fair weather fan, when you have a lot of other things going on in life, when you have a happy family and you've got a lot to do, like, you can't afford to be an obsessed, crazed fanatic. So that's it. So that's my theory on sports. Enjoy
Fair
it when
enough.
they're good, support them, but you don't have to punish yourself when they're not good. There you go.
That was actually the same person that asked both of those questions, just with a different name each time. So thanks for that, Capablanca/Ray. I'm on to you. I know your game. Right, let's stop the vote. B5, B6 is the move they're making. B5 to B6.
And I will play the move
running
Rook
their
H8
pawn.
B8. Rook H8 to B8.
You're going to go Rook H8 to B8.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay. You're getting very quick with your moves now. Are you?
Yep.
Do you think you've sussed this now? Is this it? Have they had it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, what do you want me to say? No. What was the response you wanted?
I mean, I think I wanted sass. Right. And so I'm glad I got it. But chat.
My last
of course
task.
he'd say that. Chat. Of course he'd say that. Don't
So
let him put you down.
I coordinated my king side finally, right? The bell rang, the angel got his wings, and then the last task on Black's plate in this position is to unpin this rook on e5 from the queen on b2, hitting it so that I can get both rooks to go gobble up the b pawn.
Yeah.
Two rooks, the queen cannot stand against two rooks as soon as it becomes all about one side of the board, because the rooks will double up and together they will start just gobbling up the pawns one by one, because there's things that two pieces can do that one piece can't, even if she's the most powerful piece on the board. And that's they can gang up, right? If a queen attacks a pawn that's defended by just a single piece, like, she can't take that pawn unless something changes. But when two pieces target a pawn, a weak e pawn on e4, or if I get both rooks double on the second rank, the g2 and h pawn pawns will fall. So the only chance the queen has in the open board against the rooks is to have targets on multiple sides of the board. That's what the queen needs. Now, as long as she has the b pawn, that's a pass pawn, and so I have to be careful. So that's kind of the key. I need to go gobble up that b pawn, be disciplined, don't allow counter chances in the process, and then I can slowly coordinate my rooks, to either go after the open king or just gobble up the e pawn first. But as you can see, in the end, what I sort of prophesize is true. Like, the positional weaknesses of the e pawn are a big problem. This e4 pawn is just a sitting duck, and at some point both rooks are going to double up and take it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get open lines with the rooks to start attacking the king. So
now, a thing that's happening here is that everyone in droves was voting for b6, b7, and then all of a sudden people started saying, no, stop, that's a terrible idea, do b2, d4 instead. And so then people started doing b2, b4, and then some other people started saying, no, we'll lose this thing if you do that. And so people have started doing b6, b7 again. And now I'm waiting for it to calm down a little bit, because they're all the two different moves are getting all of the votes. They're like, we're into the hundreds of votes now for this. So I might just wait a moment to see. Now the one that is coming up on top right now is b2, d4, ever so slightly.
Yeah, it's a good move. Actually, I think it's probably the best move.
Yeah, it's storming ahead now. It's storming ahead. I think I'm gonna give it a second longer. We've still got some b6, b7s, but no. Yeah, I'm gonna stop it. It's b2, b4 here. b2, b4. Sorry, b2, d4. My apologies. b2 to d4.
So, why was this the best move for white? Well, okay, so it maintains the pin on my rook. Okay. And it threatens to go get the d6 pawn. Now, if I don't do something about that, white is winning on the spot. White can take on d6, and the queen is forking my rook on b8 and the rook on e5.
Yeah.
So, that would be losing. Now, the reason why this is still lost for white is because I can coordinate my rooks and give up the d6 pawn without allowing any other counterplay. The move I have here is, don't play it yet, but I'm just explaining, is the move rook to b7.
Okay.
Which, so that removes the rook from being attacked as soon as the queen takes on d6. And it still keeps the eye on the b pawn. But after rook to b7, the queen is going to want to take on d6, and then my rook on e5 loses protection, but I'm going to go to b5. There, my rooks on b7 and b5 are ganging up on the b6 pawn. The only check or move that white can play to sort of throw off that whole process is a move like queen to d4 check, but then I can play e5, attack the queen. I'm going to gobble up the b6 pawn next, and white is still going to be lost. So even though this is like the best move and it keeps black sort of uncoordinated for another couple steps, rather than just sort of blindly pushing the pawn to b7, I'm still pretty confident that white is losing here based on sort of the analogy I just gave, and that there's no way to really prevent the rooks from becoming coordinated. So I'm going to go ahead and play the move rook to b7. You can go ahead and play it whenever you're ready.
So b8 to b7.
With b8 to b7, one square ahead.
One square ahead. And let's see how the chat, because they were all pretty confident in the chat, and then as you started to explain it, they're all saying, oh, okay, maybe we're not doing so well.
Yeah, no, queen to d4 was a good idea, and when you first met, I started seeing it in the chat because you had me distracted, whatever, I forget what we were talking about.
Yeah.
But I had to take a second. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That actually exposes some of the lack of coordination that I have. But really, there's just no way that the queen can really battle with the rooks like this in the open board. You know, unless the queen was moving into a square like c6 right now. If the queen the queen could just move like a knight for one move and go from d4 to c6, she'd be attacking the rook on b7 and preventing me from playing moves like rook to b5 because the queen guards both, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the key. Is that if the queen could get herself in position to do things like that, they would have a chance to kind of equalize out the game. But right now the queen just can't quite get there in time.
Yeah.
So.
Right, I'm gonna try and ask some more. I've got so many questions scattered everywhere, which is obviously the best place for questions to be scattered. Super Turner or Michelle at Ripstone asks, do you have a favorite game of all time, and why?
Like a favorite chess game or a favorite board game?
Do you know what?
I was gonna say
answer both, because I'm interested in the answer to the other one as well.
What's my favorite board? Well, I guess I have to answer chess, because like I mean that would be a little bit unprofessional of you, Danny.
But if chess,
but I don't know.
Wasn't a thing. Are there other board games you play?
Me and my kids play board games all the time. We play Risk. We play Stratego. We play Blokus, Blokus, like Blokus, Blokus, which is a really cool. Okay, that game's awesome. I love the spatial control.
Yeah.
We play right now. We're playing Exploding Kittens. This is a card game that I should get paid for the massive plug I'm about to give them. But it is so much fun.
Yeah.
Exploding Kittens. There's an adult version you can play with a few cocktails and your friends, but there's also a kids version which isn't super kid friendly, but it's kid friendly enough. And so Exploding Kittens is a really, really fun game. My oldest son recently got into kind of playing Rummy 500, so some long-term card games. We play games all the time, but I guess chess has to be my favorite.
Yeah.
What is my favorite chess game of all time? Do
you have like several that kind of jump out to you?
Yeah, there are several that jumped out into my head.
Yeah.
I love the opera game, as cheesy as that is. Like everyone loves Morphy's classic win in the opera game, but it's such a great example of perfect chess. So I love Morphy's. I'm kind of a critic of Morphy not being as good as modern day grandmasters, even though some classics just love defending the old champions. I actually recently had an article using this chess.com sort of scoring system we have to kind of, anyway, that's another story. But I love Morphy's opera game. I love Geller Uwe 1953, Geller Uwe Zurich International 1953. Karpov Korchnoi in the Dragon, I think it was 71 or 72. Kasparov Topalov, the legendary game, Kasparov's immortal game. I love a recent win by Wei Yi, actually, which was the game of the year last year in 2015. The young Chinese played just a monster. Wei Yi's win over, I want to say it was either Dominguez Perez or Bruzon Batista. It was one of those two Cuban GMs. That was a phenomenal effort. But if I was picking a game that I like just really love, it'd probably Geller Uwe 1953. It was a brilliancy prize in that tournament, but I love that game. So there you go.
Nice. It's interesting, isn't it? You know, you were saying that like older games, people, more modern GMs just play better. than how people used to play. It's interesting. Like whenever I see, you know, so because I follow like tennis, for example, and it's obvious that athletes are getting better just because of sort of the well, just because of evolution in a way, but also because of the kind of technology we've got, etc. It's interesting to hear that chess players just are getting better as well, right? Because it's not like the brain is kind of changing in so rapidly.
But maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Wow.
I mean, the issue is, I think that you bring up a really good point, because I would argue that it is. I mean, to bring up like a really, it has been controversial, but like even 50 years ago, I mean, women were not as encouraged to join the professional workforce. They were discouraged from learning math.
Yeah.
Women were shunned from like brain things, right? Mm-hmm. This is true. I mean, like it's horrible, but it's true, right? Sure. So that was like so for years you could argue that, the evolution of the brain, the only issue is that because it's not physical, because people rely so much on what they see is what they get, it's harder to tangibly come out and say that the brain has evolved. But I would argue that the amount of knowledge and information accessible at people's fingertips, the information age and the way that technology has shrunk the world has allowed world champions like Magnus Carlsen to bloom up in Norway, where there was no chess culture before in Norway. There's a reason why the first like 7-8 world champions, Mike, were all from Soviet descent. Okay, besides like I guess the original ones like American, like Morphy and Stein, whatever. But really for years it was Soviet dominance, because the Soviet Union made chess a state-sponsored sport. And so with the Botvinnik chess school, and he was sort of the father of the Soviet chess school. Yeah, the Russians dominated chess, or the Eastern European former states of the Soviet Union. I mean, now you have the last two world champions were not of Soviet descent. There was Anand from India, and now Carlsen from Norway, and neither two of those things would have been possible without technology, without information being able to travel the way it does. Sure. And I think that in education, people recognize this, that we have to stop educating our kids for our past and actually start educating them for their future. Instead of judging their personalities and their focus as ADD all the time, we should find better and more efficient ways to deliver information in the classroom. So I actually would argue that because like in the NBA, it's very clearly to see. You can look at the 1956 Celtics and know right away that the current Celtics are a little bit taller and a little bit stronger. Yeah. Right? You can notice the evolution there, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, it is that I guess it is this kind of that. It's a visual thing you can see, and so you kind of think of it in a different way, really. Yeah. Well, there we go.
Anyway, so I think everybody's way they approach things. I mean, as the cultures shift, people's brains, I do think they access and they deal with information differently. I mean, of course, nobody really. I'm not a scientist. I just I just stayed in a Holiday Inn Express last night. That's all. I don't know if you get that. That's a U.S. commercial.
Oh yeah.
That was a pop culture joke.
No, I don't get anything like that. If it's to do, or when you were talking about sport earlier, I was just smiling and pretending I understood what was going on. It was
way to go, man.
I'll talk about rounders soon. Don't worry. Then we'll talk about something I don't know. Right. All right. I'm gonna stop the vote because F2 F3 is the move. F2 to
F3. Yep. They bring the king up, guarding the e-pawn, but I don't really care that much about the e-pawn. It's just a matter of time before I gobble up the b-pawn, then I can fully coordinate. So they play the move king to f3. I'm just double-checking the lines I was calculating while rambling about information. Let's see, I'm pretty sure I'm playing king h7. If queen takes d6, rook to b5. There's no way to deal with the f7 pawn. There's no way to really prevent me from coordinating the rook, so I will finally officially achieve, like, what is it? Like full... like Captain Planet, or like I'm finally I've now morphed into my full transformer. So I'm gonna play the move king to h7. Sorry, king h7.
King to h7.
And the countdown to White's demise has begun.
Nice. I like it. Chat, don't listen to him. You can still win. You can still win, chat. I believe in you. But I don't believe in you so much anymore. Let me see which question I'm going to ask now. Right. We have a question on Discord from Benjamin Hammond. I don't know if he's related to Richard Hammond. I'll have to ask that later. And he asks, whether you are going to be covering the Pro Chess League on YouTube, because he loves your YouTube analysis.
Okay, I will not be one of the official commentators for the league. I got a lot on my plate at chess.com, so we have hired that out. The every Wednesday schedule will have Simon Williams will be one of the commentators, Lawrence Trent. We've got
Nice.
we got an awesome lineup of
These are all people we know, so I like
Yeah.
this. I like
Yeah,
it.
so,
I sat and watched Simon and Lawrence play Blitz against each other just before Christmas, and that was a ruckus, let me tell you.
Yeah. So we got a great lineup of commentary. I will personally not be involved. I may jump in and scoot somebody over when we get to the championship. I don't know, but I will probably be providing some sort of weekly video highlight, maybe reviewing the most educational moments or going over the coolest tactics. Do something kind of cool. And those videos will either be available on, I haven't decided if those are going to be premium member videos on chess.com or if they will be on YouTube and Facebook and all those things. I mean, we kind of balance out. We do content that's just for premium members. We do content that's all over the web. So I think we will do a balance of it. The shows, the live coverage, the 12-hour coverage that goes from one set of hosts to another will all be completely free on Chess TV, just like following it. And I think we'll have highlights as well as full video breakdowns of kind of the coolest moments. So I don't know if I'm going to put those on my own YouTube channel, but if not, they'll just be on the Chess YouTube channel. So just youtube.com/chess, right? Our main chess.com one. You guys are getting to my throat now.
Yeah, I'm getting that as well. I don't normally get like this, but I keep getting a bit of a something in the back of my throat. It's not good.
Could be contagious. I think
it might be. We're sending it down the airwaves to each other. Now, stopping the votes because D4, D6
all right.
has shot up. So we go D4 to D6.
The pawn has been taken, and I play the move Rook to B5. Rook on E5 to B5.
On E5 to B5. Like
and as
so.
ugly as it looks temporarily, that my rooks are slightly uncoordinated because they're not protected. The queen is one step too late. If she was on C6, she could gobble up one of my rooks, but she is not, and I will gobble up that pawn. My rooks will finally bloom into the beautiful butterfly that they've been caterpillars, Mike. My rooks have been caterpillars, and now they're blooming. They're coming into their full self.
Lovely.
And they're, they've opened up some chakras, and they're really ready to.
But they did have to let their queen be murdered before that happened. So I feel like there's a sort of
the queen.
I feel like there's a circle of life thing going on here.
Yeah, no, the queen was good for it. She believes in reincarnation, so she was happy to sacrifice
herself.
herself.
That's all right then.
We're gonna gobble up the B pawn, and the rooks will fully bloom.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Now we've got a question from Mattiome74. Great name. This person asks, which books on strategy you recommend? I mean, when it comes to this kind of thing, is a book still a good way to go, or is everything online now?
No, books are great. No,
yeah?
I think it's been one of our biggest missing tools that we're working on developing a really cool feature this year. We've had mentor lessons, which are sort of like strategy, like a little mini book online, and kind of take the more serious, motivated learners through. But honestly, our mentor courses have been a chore. I mean, they haven't. I'll criticize we have not been happy with our mentor lessons tool, as much as it's a premium tool that I'm supposed to tell people to upgrade for. But we haven't really been thrilled with the experience. It's slow and tedious and really tough for people to learn from. And so we are developing kind of a new tool along the same lines of sort of reading a mini book online, learning some information, and then answering some test questions. So I won't talk much about that because we're developing it right now. It's going to be awesome.
Okay.
So instead, I'll just give book recommendations. I have a top 5 list of books on strategy that I really like. The first one is Zurich International 1953, which is the book about that tournament from David Bronstein. Bronstein was a brilliant teacher, great writer. That book doesn't go out of its way to say it's a strategy book, but just some awesome games with brilliant analysis. I like Secrets of Modern Chess Strategy by John Watson. One of my favorite books of all time is Dynamic Chess Strategy by Mihai Suba. By Suba, S-U-B-A, Dynamic Chess Strategy. Road to Chess Improvement by the one and only Uncle Yermo, Grandmaster Alex Yermolinsky, is one of the best books. It's awesome. It's so good, and that's not biased at all. Like Yermo's book, Road to Chess Strategy, is great. Also, you will just learn a lot about strategy if you get a best games collection of any of the best players ever. Like, go get Kramnik's best games, or okay, I mean, Garry Kasparov's My Great Predecessor series might be the single best contribution to written chess literature ever. I mean, Garry Kasparov's books are amazing. Those books on My Great Predecessors are awesome. So that's my list. There you go. I could go on, but that's a really good list to start. That's all for like intermediate, kind of like 1800 rated players, like, you know, guys that are, you know, you're a decent, good tournament player, but you really want to take that next step toward like being a chess expert, chess master.
Yeah.
Those are all the kind of books I'm talking about right now.
Fair enough. Right, there are a million different moves that are going on here. They're all D6 to somewhere else moves. There's literally like 5 different moves that people are voting for. I mean, I don't know if it matters at this point, but
yeah.
but the move. Well, right now, one has just jumped up. The 2 moves that are on top right now. Well, actually, as I say it, B6, B8 has just jumped on top. So I might.
Right, that would be great. That would be a great move.
Wait a little second.
Which, by the way, would lose anyway, because I would just play rook takes b8 and my rooks are connected, and so you'd still, even if you could play b takes b6 to b8, it would still wouldn't work.
I feel like they're making good moves, but it's all a bit futile. Which, you know, I wished it wasn't going to go this way for you, chat. I mean, yeah, I think this might be it. I think we're going to have to stop the vote and do this. So b6, b8, b6. Hang on a second, what am I doing?
Well, it can't be b6
to
b8.
No, my apologies. d6, d8.
d6, d8.
d6 to d8. There we go. I should learn to read, really. There we go.
So, there was a lot of comments about an idea of going after the f7 pawn, moves like queen f8. Just so everyone knows, it wouldn't work, because I'm going to take the b6 pawn with my b5 rook and leave my rook on b7 to guard f7. So now the move queen to d6 to d8 has been played. So now I could take with either rook, because there really isn't a threat, but I'm still going to just take with the b5 rook. So rook on b5 captures pawn on b6.
Rook on b5 captures pawn on b6.
Indeed.
There we go. Now, chat. Here's the thing. If you want to keep playing, that's fine. I'm not going to stop you. If you guys feel like you're in too much of a sticky situation now and this isn't going to happen anymore, then feel free to type resign into the chat. and if enough people are typing resign, I guess maybe we'll say that they... I mean, I already see lots of resigns. I see some offer draws as well. Are you willing to take a draw, Danny? Are you...
Unfortunately, no.
I mean, I didn't think that you were, yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, every single thing in the chat is now either resign or offer draw, so... I think
we'll take the offer draws as also resign, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yes, so. I think that we will do that, yeah. So, I mean, I think that's it, really. I mean, was there any way out of this for them at all? Or was this
not anymore, because as I said, like, when you have issues that are on both sides of the board, and the queen can sort of, you know, show her strength by being in a central square and attack one thing on one diagonal and attack something else or protect something else. I mean, and also typically there are 2 things the queen really wants. You want the enemy king to be open, because the queen is so good at giving checks like from far away and double attacks and all kinds of stuff. So you either want the king to be open or you need pawn weaknesses on both sides of the board. And so white just lacks threats here for the queen to do. So the queen is sort of, you know, she's kind of useless. She's just sort of sitting there. I mean, she can go play a move like queen f8 and guard f7, but my rook is guarding it, and there's nothing to do, so I'm just playing with an extra rook.
Yeah. I mean,
so,
I think it was amazing that, you know, you kind of sacrificed a queen. That to me was like, that kind of shows what this game is like, right? it's amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of a fun moment, just because it was like, you know, I recognize that there wasn't really enough counterplay, and if the B pawn was faster, I might have had more problems, you know, coordinating, but it wasn't quite fast enough. So, But it was fun. I mean, a lot of people maybe want to play on still. I mean, yes, of course, there's always a human blunder. I could blunder while I'm sitting here jabbering away for everybody. But, you know, technically, this is a very easily winning position now for black.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think we should probably leave it there, really, shouldn't we? I mean, the chat. Even if we carry on now, I don't think the chat are really going to be able to hold together for the rest of it. So yeah, we should probably leave it there.
It's not a lackluster effort to resign now, I wouldn't say, but okay, but you know.
I mean, I feel like they did pretty amazingly. I feel like they...
Yeah, no, it was tricky, and there was a lot of pressure. I think, you know, so from the start of the opening, this idea of giving up the bishop for the knight is sort of not what white wants in the dragon, right? So you get the counterplay on the f file. The pieces worked hard to try to create some threats, but overall that's not ideal. So I was sort of banking on my positional. You know, my positional goals there for the whole game. But there was pressure. There were all kinds of ways that I could have blundered tactically. So it was fun.
Well, thank you very much for coming on with us. I think we've kind of run out of time, really, haven't we? We just spent the entire 3 hours playing a single game, which I'm fairly happy about because it was an amazing game. So
yeah,
that was pretty great. So yeah, thank you very much for doing this.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Was there anything else you wanted to plug before we disappear into the night?
No more plugs. If anybody's watching chess for the first time, thanks for doing that, helping chess grow, right? I mean, that's what we all want to do. And go to chess.com, play for free. I guess that's all. If you're watching this on one of the consoles, PlayStation or Xbox or something, you know, you can download an app on your phone or something if you don't have a desktop right there and play on chess.com. So that's all I'll say. That's where we are.
Yeah.
Playing on chess.com all the time, doing videos, doing stuff, and this was a lot of fun actually.
Yeah, this is really, really good. And yeah, and kind of to echo Danny's thoughts, thank you so much for everyone watching. We here at Ripstone, we do this weekly, as I've been repeating over and over again, just in case there's new people joining. But yeah, we do this on a weekly basis on Twitch. So if you have enjoyed this, please feel free to follow us on Twitch, and you'll see way more of this kind of thing happening. Also, if you're looking to pick up a chess game on console, Pure Chess, our game, that thing that's just above, that's kind of hovering above my head. Is on all the platforms, so you can do that as well. So yeah, thank you very much. If anybody as well has any more questions for Danny, then feel free to tweet them at him or throw them in our Discord. I'm sure we could pass them on to him, and maybe he'll have a moment to answer them. But yeah, in general, this has been my favorite game, I think, that we've done in one of these. So that was that was kind of great, really.
Yeah, I had a blast. A lot of people wondering what would have happened if white had played b7 instead of the move queen to d4, but still pretty sure we're looking at a loss here. Yeah. Although it's a little tricky. I guess I'll have to analyze it, but
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what, we can put together the PGN for this and send it across to you, and then we can get some analysis done on it and see whether there was a chance for them.
Yeah, I'll post the PGN as a GIF to my Twitter channel and Facebook right now. So
nice, cool.
All right, well, thank you, Mike. Thanks for thanks for Ripstone for having me.
Yeah, no worries. And thank you all.
I'm excited. I'm gonna download Pure Chess. We have an Xbox with my kids, so I got to get Pure Chess and see how that.
Well, there you go. Chess Synergy, or Chessinergy, as I like to call it. Right.
Well, it was a lot of fun.
Thank you, everybody. And yeah, make sure you get us followed so you know when we're doing this again. All right.
All right.
Bye, everybody. See you later.